This morning, a passenger in a rideshare vehicle was killed here in Chicago after shots were fired from another vehicle in the Englewood neighborhood this morning. Chicago police report the man was wounded several times, transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he later died. Authorities have not yet released his identity. Outside CPD's 11th District on Tuesday, chaos erupted as demonstrators blocked streets and clashed with police. Nearly 100 activists demanded justice, they say, following the release of body cam video tied to the death of Dexter Reed Jr. Footage released by COPA confirms Reed then fired first at Chicago police and may have fired off as many as 8 other shots at officers, according to shell casings recovered near or in the car. However, Reed's family has hired attorneys, they say, to bring justice and accountability to that case.
And I talked to Mayor Johnson Sunday, and I explained to him that those officers need to be held accountable, and those officers need more trained. You got young guys that's 2 years, 5 years experience.
Dexter Reed Sr. COPA confirms the police-worn body cam footage shows Reed firing first out a passenger side window, striking a Chicago police officer. Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Thankfully, he's recovering, but if that bullet had hit him a few inches in a different direction, I would be here today talking about the loss of another black man.
In other news this morning, a Chicago police officer is accused of sexual misconduct in an incident that occurred in Goose Island last year. Stephen Shaw has been charged with 2 felony counts of custodial sexual misconduct. Shaw has been relieved of his police powers. His initial court appearance is scheduled for this week. A federal court has ruled in favor of the Obama Foundation in its fight against the group Protect Our Parks. The group arguing the city of Chicago violated the public trust by leasing part of Jackson Park to the foundation. Now the museum is expected to open in 2026. And Illinois State Representative Tim Ozinga abruptly resigned Monday night. The Republican represented the 37th District, which includes several suburbs like Mokina, Orland Park, and Joliet. Ozinga did not give a reason for his resignation, but releasing a statement which reads, quote, "I will continue to dedicate my time and effort to make Illinois a better place," end quote. Ozinga will stay on as chairman of Will County Republicans. Chicago sports, Jalen Brunson, top 40 points and a Knick win over the Bulls, 128-117. In San Diego, the Cubs beat the Padres 5-1, while the White Sox snap a 5-game losing skid with a 7-5 win over Cleveland. The news delivered by Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka explains the left's feelings towards you.
They don't love you. They hate you. If you're a working class American, if you're one of the cops that went to that funeral service this weekend for Officer Diller, they detest you. If you're a small business owner who just wanted to keep open under COVID, they hate your guts. And if you believe in America, you're just scum to them.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Can peace of mind fit into just 3 fruits and 3 veggie supplements? Yes. We start by sourcing the best fruit and vegetable ingredients. We ensure that all our produce meets our rigorous standards in order to give you the highest quality product possible. They are then washed, cut, and put through an advanced vacuum cold process that removes the water using pressure. We then take great care in grinding them into a fine powder. These powdered ingredients are then mixed and encapsulated, locking out air and moisture. The capsules are then bottled and shipped right to your door so you can experience your own personal Balance of Nature success story.
I've looked at other supplements out there, and they don't have what Balance of Nature has.
Balance of Nature really was the game changer. I'm serious, it works.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus $10 off any additional sets as a preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Freedom begins with you. Learn how to spot and call out corruption like the Edgar County Watchdogs do. On Saturday, April 13th, Breakthrough Ideas invites you to a training and panel discussion at the Abington Distinctive Banquets in Glen Ellen. Spend the morning interacting with Kirk Allen and John Kraft of the Edgar County Watchdogs. They'll discuss strategies and basics for keeping watch on your tax dollars in your community. You'll hear from Diane Benjamin, blogger for BLN News, Amanda Piker, a No Goshen activist, and Brittany Norwood, a Dalton whistleblower. Session is from 9 a.m. to 12 noon and includes training, discussion, and breakfast. Tickets are only $15 and are on sale now at breakthrough-ideas.com. You'll be immersed in the experience with like-minded people and learn some skills from other watchdogs. Freedom begins with you. Saturday, April 13th at the Abington, presented by Breakthrough Ideas. Go to breakthrough-ideas.com to buy tickets now.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
It's 5:40 on AM 560, The Answer. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy inbound already slow between Central and Montrose. 25 in O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Slowing up on the inbound Dan Ryan in the Express already. 33rd into the Stevenson. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunshine gives way to clouds today. A mild afternoon with a high of 68. Rain kicks in late overnight and a low of 47. Currently 47 degrees. Your next news is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You're talking about the police-involved shooting of Dexter Reed last month with the police body cam videos being released yesterday. I thought it was interesting. Mike Scott was reporting this all day yesterday morning. Larry Snelling, the CPD superintendent, saying, when this video is going to be released, we trust the residents of Chicago to view it and process it on their own and draw their own conclusions and so on and so forth. Oh, Superintendent Snelling, aren't you cute?
Well, they didn't want, 2020 redux, and only one person was arrested yesterday outside the 11th Police District.
Yeah, but the point is, I mean, I wasn't expecting rioting over it, particularly after I saw it. But that's not how things are processed in Chicago. I can't emphasize this enough. The only way to understand Chicago's reaction is to process it through the institutions and the heads of those institutions who benefit from the rigged racial spoil system in Chicago. Cui bono? Who benefits? Identitarian politicians, trial lawyers, media, and black residents who have given up their agency. And if you don't treat them as groups and understand the motivations and the landscape on which they operate, the philosophy they have chosen to adopt, then you can't understand why somebody pulled over in a traffic stop who opens fire on police and police return fire and ultimately kill him, why this is in controversy, why this is something we're supposed to brace for, why this is something that we need to pour over and we need to, look at it from the angle of the family members and their trial lawyer representatives and so on and so forth. But we were forced to do these things in order to make sure that we stay with both feet planted firmly on the ground, as opposed to being whisked away to this imaginary world that the race hustlers want to take us. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. We mentioned the politicians. You've heard from Kim Foxx. You've heard from Brandon Johnson. ABC 7. ABC 7 reporting by Chuck Gowdy and the I-Team. From the stop to the shots?
Roll that one down too. Hey, don't roll the window up. Don't roll the window up.
The tactical unit said that Dexter Reed was curbed in this SUV because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, an incident that prompted Reed to open fire on police. The 26-year-old was already facing illegal gun charges at the time he was pulled over. Had police found the gun in his car, Reed might well have returned to jail. Instead, authorities say he opened fire and they returned 96 shots, at least 50 fired by a 23-year-old rookie officer.
The number of shots matter. The number of shots fired by a particular individual matters. The number of years on the force by that particular good shoot or not. Was it a proportional response to the threat? Was it reasonable or not?
I just think as a reporter, they're just releasing some details that they got from COPA. I don't see this as him trying to, just because I used to be out there, I don't see this him as Chuck trying to persuade anybody to make police look bad.
Really? I'm so glad you said that because I'll look forward to seeing if your opinion changes when the 96 Shots documentary comes out. As the chants were happening with the trial lawyers and the family members. 96 shots, you murdered my son, so on and so forth. 96 shots. You don't think you're going to hear that again? See it on a T-shirt? Oh, and your Chuck Gowdy? No, he's not. No, he's not. He's just giving details. He's just providing the full story because that's what all of these dutiful reporters from the network affiliates in Chicago do. Really?
Traffic stop trouble in Chicago isn't new. In 2020, the I-Team first revealed an analysis of police records determining that of more than 2 million traffic stops by Chicago police in 2016, 60% were black drivers, even though black residents make up 27% of the city's population.
Was that just giving data too? Is that the full story?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. I didn't. The first part, I don't have a problem with that. I don't know why he threw that in there.
You don't. You have no idea.
I-Team.
You have no idea why he would throw that in there.
No, right, because he has a political motive, obviously.
Right, but the first part didn't. It just he slipped that in at the end because he made a boo-boo. Or he didn't. I don't know. Which is it? But I do know that it's fascinating to talk about traffic stops. And it's fascinating to just look at traffic stops or categories of crime and say, you know, X percent of the total number of people arrested for this are black, even though they represent X percentage of the population. But you never hear that other piece of it. That X percent of the population is black, and yet black men mainly account for 80% of the violent crime in Chicago, also represent 80% of the victims. What, he didn't have time to get that in, or is that what you think? Because the Chicago Press Corps does not have blood on their hands with respect to demonizing police. They covered it right down the middle during the summer of love in 2020, during the summer of joy that Lori Lightfoot designated 2022. They always cover it right down the middle with police in general and certainly police-involved shootings, right? So we're certainly supposed to give Chuck Gowdy and the I-Team and all the other network affiliate reporters the benefit of the doubt because they are fair-minded. They're just scriveners of what is occurring on the streets and do not, you know, look with a jaundiced eye at anything they may insert or leave out. Right. Sure. Okay. Steve, Northwest Side.
I told my wife yesterday that when before the story broke, I said, these cops are going to come out on the bad end of the story no matter what. And I was right. They're going to dirty these guys up no matter how righteous this shooting was. I am absolutely incensed by the way the city and the news media, and particularly Chuck Gowdy, treat the police in the city. You wonder why people aren't joining the police department? Well, here's a classic example. They send these young guys out, guys and gals, tell them, go make the community a safer community where you work, try to get guns off the street, try to get the dope problem under control. And when something like this happens, when they get shot at, this guy shot at them. Think about that for a minute. He shot at them 8 times, and they returned fire. They defended their own lives, and they're getting the short end of the stick here. I am just incensed. I I wanted to go back on that job so bad. I tried to get back on that job twice after I retired. Thank God they wouldn't take me back because once you go, you're gone. You're just you're a nobody now. I just can't begin to tell you how upset I am about this. God bless these coppers. I know what's going to happen here, and it's not going to be good for them. I'm quite certain of that. They're going to try to make an example out of them. They're going to dirty them up, and they're going to be coming out as the bad guys in this whole story. And that is just wrong, man.
Thanks for the call, Steve. All I can say is 96 shots. The family, and their legal representation, which is substantial, and they should be fired. They should be prosecuted. They committed murder.
COPA wants the 5 officers stripped of their police powers.
Correct. They're on a 30-day administrative leave right now.
Which is wrong.
So institutions. So Chuck Gowdy did a wonderful job of representing the Chicago Press Corps. The trial lawyers. The trial lawyers that fund the politicians. The trial lawyers that are profile the media as the heroes, standing up for the little guy. All these civil rights attorneys roaming around. Right. Sure they are. Yeah. I can't wait to hear their arguments before the high court on matters of constitutional law. Talk about street hustlers, race hustlers, whatever kind of hustler they need to be. Oh, right. They're the writing in. The cavalry is here. The trial lawyers like Stephen Hart. Some bottom-feeding honky trying to enrich himself on the backs of a black community that has given up its agency, like this family. I'm sorry. Is that not true? All these encomiums I heard about Dexter Reed. He was a coach. He was this. He was that. He was a son. He was a nephew. Mm-hmm. Where'd he work? He's 26 years old. He was at home with mom. At least that's what mom said.
Did he have a job?
Well, he was arrested for retail theft. He was arrested for illegal gun possession. Yeah. And it was just a traffic stop.
I've been pulled over a gazillion times for not wearing my seatbelt.
Why are they even doing that? Why even bother? Right, I know. That's
People
the whole
do that
thing.
Right.
We're supposed to eliminate traffic stops. There's actually legislation in Springfield for Justin Slaughter, the author of the Safety Act, the Pritzker Purge Law, to do just that. A traffic stop that pulled over somebody who thought it was a good idea to open fire on police officers. Are you happy or sad that they pulled that person over? I'm not saying I wanted him to die, but that they got him off the street. They pulled him over for a reason. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. This was a tactical unit in a particular neighborhood. These tactical officers, these gang units, they know who's who.
Oh, of course they know.
Right. So, and I'm not saying they know who's who, like the lawyers lingo that you're about to hear, pretextual and this and that. They know not he's black. They know who he specifically is. They know who specific people are and their specific connections to specific illicit activity. So if a honky like me can get pulled over for not wearing my seatbelt, which I have many times.
Right, me too. We're white.
Then nobody else should be exempt either, right? If you don't like the seatbelt law, go to Springfield and talk to your legislators and have them change it. Clay in Libertyville.
I despise the seatbelt law, but that's for my own personal belief.
Me too.
Danny, yeah, thank you. Danny did beat me to the punch. Yes, they ignore a giant statistic there. 80% of the crime is committed by African-American people in Chicago. Perfect. Nail on the head. A couple good tips and tricks for not being shot at 96 times when you get pulled over for a seatbelt. Comply with lawful orders. Roll the window down. Roll the back window down.
Yep.
Don't have an illegal gun in the car. I mean, is this common sense? I guess not.
Thanks for the call,
Just
Clay.
do what they say. It's so simple.
Listen. I mean, You think the politicians are bad.
All right, let me hear this.
You got to listen to the trial lawyers.
Oh, Stephen Hart?
Stephen Hart.
It cannot be lost on the public that the Reed family lost their beloved son, brother, nephew. He was precious to them. And what's worse is that he lost his life at the hands of those that took an oath to serve and protect him. The explanation that we're getting today is that Dexter was pulled over for failing to wear his seatbelt. Now, this leaves many, many questions. Why were tactical officers jumping out of an unmarked police car with their guns drawn for a simple traffic violation of not wearing your seatbelt? Dexter did not run. There was no chase.
Oh, no, not at all.
They asked him to roll down his window. He did. And in response, he got guns in his face.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't run. There was no chase. He just opened fire.
Right, exactly. Get your facts straight.
Sheila Beatty. Sheila Beatty from the Pritzker School of Law at Northwestern University. Wait till you get a load of this broad.
All right, I want to hear this.
Chicago Police Department TAC teams are out on the hunt. That is precisely what happened to Dexter Reed.
Dexter Reed was the Chicago Tactical Unit, Chicago Police's prey.
You want to hear another point of contention for them? How did they know he didn't have his seatbelt on? Because he had tinted windows.
Next, let's talk about de-escalation. Every single thing, every single police officer did in this encounter escalated it over and over. From coming out of the car with their guns out, to screaming commands, to brandishing their weapons inside the window, escalating over and over and over. Then, of course, there's the use of force, which lacked proportionality. None of those officers saw Dexter Reed as a beloved community member, son, nephew. They saw him as prey.
Oh my God! Like they're out there hunting people down. Stop it.
That wasn't a tactical unit. That was a death squad.
Yeah.
That's what Northwestern clinical law professor Sheila Beatty has to say. Oh my God. Let's have a conversation about proportional and responsible and accountable. Mm-hmm. Former Chicago Police Brian Warner, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, guys. Unfortunately, we perfected a playbook in Chicago. Like you said, round up the troops. We have an officer-involved shooting. Let's make the police look bad. Get the liberal people at the DePaul University and the professors that know crime, that wouldn't know a gun if they had one put in their face. Get the ministers from the community to say how wonderful the boy was. Most importantly, get the shyster attorneys. They're going to benefit from this tragedy. And get the family all dressed up, and let's have a press conference. Brandon Johnson is so, he checked a few boxes, but one thing that he missed, and I hope so many other people saw that from the body cameras yesterday, the trauma the officers experienced because of that kid's poor decision. Yeah. How they were walking around when the officer was laying on the ground when they realized he was shot. Brandon didn't mention that. He mentioned the family of the offender. He mentioned the community. Those officers, every single officer that responded there yesterday, and all the officers throughout the country that have to see that video, they take that personally and they carry that with them. So let's look at that factor, please.
Thanks for the call, Brian.
Thank you.
Yeah. The family. Here's a sister.
Regardless of the person that they try to portray Dexter as, he was not one of those. Why does the police keep doing this to young black African men? If he was supposed to be pulled over for a traffic stop, why did they have 4 guns pointed at him? He was scared.
So if you're afraid, then it's okay to open fire on police? I mean, there's just no getting around. You can talk all day long, and you can hire all the plaintiff's attorneys you want. There's just no getting around opening fire on police. I don't know who Dexter Reed was or what he did and didn't do, but I know what he did on that day. We all do. And he dug his own grave. That's what happened.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
An NPR senior editor comes clean. It's always nice to confirm from the inside what we observe from the outside. 6:06.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A rideshare passenger in Chicago dies after gunfire. Police-sworn body camera footage of the shooting of Dexter Reed is released. Boy shot in the car with his grandmother remains in critical condition. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Today is not the day. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The House is delayed till next week, sending articles of impeachment for the Homeland Security Secretary. Republicans blame him for ignoring laws at the border, but Senator Ted Cruz says this is not incompetence.
Sadly, it's that Alejandro Mayorkas is very good at the job he's trying to do, and the job he is trying to do is maximize the number of illegal immigrants in America.
Senate Democrats say this is a policy dispute and may not even hold a trial.
A White House spokesman calls the impeachment charges against Biden's DHS chief a PR stunt, writing, quote, if Republicans actually believe this impeachment was so urgent for the security of the border, they wouldn't have delayed sending it to the Senate for 2 months, or now delayed it again for another week. Lays bare how baseless and devoid of substance this whole PR stunt is.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. President Biden says Republicans in Congress blocked a border security bill. They say he can close the border on his own, but the president tells Univision
there's no guarantee that I have that power all by myself.
The president also says Israel's prime minister is making mistakes in the war against Hamas, urging him to agree to a ceasefire and send more humanitarian aid to civilians in Gaza. Arizona now at the center of the abortion debate. A Civil War-era law banning nearly all abortions has been upheld by the state Supreme Court.
When the president's predecessor handicapped 3 Supreme Court justices to overturn Roe v. Wade, it paved the way for the chaos and confusion we're seeing play out across the country today.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says the Arizona decision will put millions of women at risk and fail to protect victims of rape and incest. The law does have a clause protecting the life of the mother.
Fox's Jared Halbert. Arizona's Democratic governor is urging lawmakers to repeal the ban some Republican state legislators want to restrict abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. Change is coming to the Olympics. For the first time in Paris this summer, gold medalists will also win prize money in 48 track and field events. America's listening to Fox News.
6:02, 47 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. Chicago Civilian Office of Police Accountability releasing body cam video Tuesday of a police shooting last month in Garfield Park. Video footage and initial reports confirm that Dexter Reed fired first, hitting an officer. COPA said 4 other officers then returned fire. Yesterday, COPA head Andrea Kirsten refused to discuss initial reasons for the traffic stop.
The only information we have at this time is that the entire purpose behind the traffic stop was for Mr. Reed not wearing a seatbelt. We have no information that any other information about Mr. Reed was known to officers.
Kirsten confirms police-sworn body camera footage showing Dexter Reed firing first out of a passenger side window, striking a Chicago police officer. Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Thankfully, he's recovering, but if that bullet had hit him a few inches in a different direction, I would be here today talking about the loss of another black man.
The video also shows nearly 100 shots fired during that traffic stop last month. Outgoing state's attorney Kim Foxx says a special investigative unit will investigate.
Our ongoing review and collaboration will continue until a determination of whether the use of force was or was not justified in this case.
The FOP says the video should not have been released so soon. In other news this morning, a 4-year-old boy is critically injured, shot inside of a vehicle on the city's northwest side yesterday afternoon. Boy was inside of a vehicle around 4 p.m. That vehicle driven by his grandmother, and that boy was shot in the back, remains in critical condition. The Cubs are closing in on permission to install 2 new rooftop signs on buildings that are just outside of Wrigley's outfield walls. The Zoning and Landmarks Committee unanimously passing an ordinance that okays 2 new rooftop signs on buildings owned by the family that owns the Cubs and Wrigley Field. When the FDA recently convened a committee of advisors to assess a cardiac device made by North Chicago-based Abbott, the agency did not disclose that most of them had received payments from the company or conducted research it had funded, information that was readily available in a federal database. One member of the advisory committee was linked to hundreds of payments from Abbott, totaling about $200,000. That, according to research and writing by the Chicago Sun-Times. Abbott announced April 2nd that the FDA had approved TriClip, designed to treat leakage from the heart's tricuspid valve. Jalen Brunson, 45 points last night in the Knicks' win over the Bulls, 128-117. Christopher Morel hit his first career grand slam. Yan Gomes also connected for the Cubs. They beat Joe Musgrove and the Padres 5-1. White Sox snap a 5-game losing skid with a 7-5 win over Cleveland. The News is a service of Remke's Garage. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. The shop at Remke's is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment. Remke's is your Sprinter, Diesel, and Toyo tire headquarters. Visit Remke'sGarage.com. That's REMKES Garage.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees more control from the left.
RFK Jr. being on the ballot. This is bad news for the Democrats. You see, the Democrats, they don't like choices. The party of democracy, they want complete control over anyone that might be center-left in this country. They don't want free thinkers or independent-minded. And this is terrifying.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements. Changing the world one life at a time.
2 weeks after I had been taken, after I had started taking them, I told the wife, I said, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm 20 years old. Ever since, I just stayed on it. And I'm not the most educated guy, but anyhow, I'm not the dumbest guy in the area. And I do know what they got in there, just reading on it and everything. I'm pleased with it. Anybody I speak to, I convince them right away that give it a try.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
You know, today, $20 barely gets you a burger and fries, and maybe it'll get you a quarter tank of gas. But you know what it'll get you, though? For just $20 a month, you get unlimited talk and text and plenty of 5G data from my friends, my cell phone company, a veteran-owned company, Pure Talk. Make the switch today, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Now, choose a wireless company that shares your values. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, make the switch today. Pound 250, keyword save now from Pure Talk.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-353-2973 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
6:09. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Burr Ridge, accident, County Line and Burr Ridge Parkway. Arlington Heights report of an accident. Arlington Heights Road southbound, right at the Jane Addams Toll Road. Delays on I-57. We have a medical emergency reported and an entrance ramp partially blocked. It's outbound on I-57, the on-ramp from the Tri-State Tollway. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
A bit of sun and some clouds, a mild day. High today 68. Rain tonight from late evening on, low 47. Wind and rain cooler tomorrow, the high 53. Showers early Friday morning, then some clouds and sun. A windy day, high 59. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Partly cloudy, 47 right now. Next news at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The MacArthur Foundation is sad today.
No.
They're sad. Since 82, the MacArthur Foundation, which is a great illustration of Robert Conquest's second law of politics, which is to say that an organization that is not explicitly conservative will drift left over time. MacArthur Foundation is a funder of all things new Marxist, like the NPR Times. Since 82, MacArthur Foundation has given $6 million to Chicago Public Media. Also contributed $10 million toward that illustrious merger 2 years ago between the then AFL-CIO Times, which became the NPR Times.
Yeah.
And they cut a third of their staff the other day, as we mentioned, even with we, the taxpayers, being forced to underwrite the NPR Times.
And they only have an hour of local programming now.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Wow.
They still can't make a go of it, even being insulated from the vagaries of market economics. As longtime supporters of journalism and media, that's not journalism. And now leading funder and revitalizing local news. No, you're not. We at MacArthur are saddened to hear about the cuts at Chicago Public Media and the elimination of Vocalo's broadcast signal. Yeah, their Vocalo radio station, which had R&B, jazz, and Spanish language programming, that got shuttered too. Well, sorry you wasted all that money on the NPR Times and WBEZ's Drek. And that's not me saying Drek. That's Uri Berliner, that is, who spent 25 years at NPR. I mean, he wouldn't probably use exactly the term Drek, but a revealing interview he gave, and he gave to Barry Weiss, an op-ed he wrote over at her outfit, the Free Press, about how NPR's lost America's trust. Really good, actually. And, this is somebody that, even though we're diametrically opposed politically, I suspect you could have a conversation with. If Barry Weiss could, I could. The stereotype of the NPR listener, he writes, an EV driving, Wordle playing, tote bag carrying coastal elite. It doesn't precisely describe me, but it's not far off. I'm Sarah Lawrence educated, was raised by a lesbian peace activist mother. I drive a Subaru, and Spotify says my listening habits are most similar to people in Berkeley. That's a real admission.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, hey, I appreciate full disclosure. All right, Uri, I'm listening. So when I got a job here 25 years ago, I never looked back. As a senior editor on the business desk, where news is always breaking, we've covered upheavals in the workplace, supermarket prices, social media, and AI. It's true NPR has always had a liberal bent, but most of my tenure here, we were open-minded. A curious culture prevailed. We were nerdy, but not knee-jerk activists or scolding. In recent years, however, that's changed. Today, those who listen to NPR or read its coverage online find something different, the distilled worldview of a very small segment of the U.S. population. If you're a conservative, you'll read this and say, duh, it's always been like this, but it hasn't. For decades, since its founding in 1970, a wide swath of America tuned into NPR for reliable journalism and gorgeous audio pieces with birds singing in the Amazon. Okay, that's fair. It's not that long ago, and he has some data to back up his claim.
We have a Cadillac, what we call a Cadillac plan.
I don't know.
Back in 2011, he writes, although NPR's audience tilted a bit to the left, it still bore resemblance to America at large. 26% of listeners, this is, 13 years ago, 26% of listeners describe themselves as conservative, 23% middle of the road, 37% liberal. A little bit more than a decade later, so 26 conservative to 37 liberal.
Got it.
In 2023, 11% very or somewhat conservative, 21% middle, 67% said they were liberal.
All right.
We weren't just losing conservatives, we were also losing moderates and traditional liberals, writes Berliner. An open-minded spirit no longer exists within NPR, and now, predictably, we don't have an audience that reflects America. That wouldn't be a problem for an openly polemical news outlet serving a niche audience, but for NPR, which purports to consider all things, ooh, nice turn of a phrase there, all things considered, see what he did. It's devastating for both its journalism and its business model. Berliner went on in his conversation with Barry Weiss to say,
do you see NPR and its shift to the left as sort of singular to that organization, or of a piece with a much broader trend that's happening inside legacy media institutions?
It's much broader within legacy media organization. I think it's very commonplace. For me, what's different about NPR is we are a public service institution. We have a public mission, and we have a show called All Things Considered. We have a fellowship called the Reflect America Fellowship. So I think we have a particular obligation to reflect America, to understand people from all different outlooks, to bring up things that might be uncomfortable for our progressive audience members, to be a little more daring, to take a little more chance, to be more curious about things that don't fit the narrative. So I think at NPR it was a particular problem because we're a public institution, and for years I think a lot of people felt NPR was like a national trust.
And that trust is broken. And he's absolutely right. He's also right about the descent into irrelevancy by becoming a niche outlet for the new Marxists and no one else. I mean, I listened to NPR. They had some very good programming.
I loved Car Talk. That was my favorite show. And then All Things Considered was good, too.
All Things Considered, This American Life, Ira Glass. Locally, I mean, people forget, you'll remember, the NPR political reporter was one of the best, when I came up, was one of the best political reporters in the state, and he was down the middle, Carlos Hernandez Gomez.
Oh, I love Carlos Hernandez Gomez.
Who unfortunately died at a young age from cancer in his 30s. But he was a great reporter, and he was a hilarious guy. He did a great John Stroger impersonation. I mean, I really got along well with Carlos Hernandez Gomez, and he was WBEZ's guy. Just like Craig Dellimore at BBM. He's a throwback to a bygone era.
Yeah.
Same thing, down the middle. But I know Craig is left of center, but he's always been fair with me. I think he's generally fair. He's a smart guy and a good interviewer. So there are those people that would be here, Carlos Hernandez Gomez, if not for cancer. There are people from a bygone era like Craig Dellimore, but they represent a bygone era. And that's what so it's easy for a conservative to say. It's a little bit more difficult and relevant for Uri Berliner to say it has been at NPR for 25 years. And he goes on to provide some examples that won't come as surprises to us. But again, it's nice to have somebody from inside the castle saying, hey, you serfs out there, you're right. Russian collusion. He talks about, everything that we know. And then the Mueller report. When the Mueller report found no credible evidence of collusion, NPR's coverage was notably sparse. Russiagate quietly faded from our programming. It's one thing to swing and miss on a major story. Unfortunately, it happens. You follow the wrong leads. You get misled by sources you trusted. You're emotionally invested in a narrative, and bits of circumstantial evidence never add up. It's bad to blow a big story. What's worse is to pretend it never happened. To move on with no mea culpas, no self-reflection. Especially when you expect high standards of transparency from public figures and institutions, but don't practice those standards yourself. That's what shatters trust and engenders cynicism about the media. Russiagate was not NPR's only miscue. And of course, the next obvious one, next election, Hunter Biden's laptop, same deal. And so again, this sort of mea culpa, if you will, or at least a description of the mea culpa that's owed by Berliner, gives him some standing. And maybe if he rose to a more prominent role at NPR, you could change the culture. I mean, there used to be people, just again, thinking locally at BEZ, and the Sun-Times, for that matter, that were fair-minded, that knew where the parameters were when it came to news coverage versus serving as a communications person for your political fellow traveler, my political opponent, generally speaking.
They didn't demonize Republicans.
I mean, I listen like Steve Edwards. Steve Edwards, his 848 program on WBEZ was good. I thought it was pretty fair. I was on it a couple times. I was treated fairly. Sun-Times, I mentioned before, with Scott Fornick when he was a political reporter doing, the Illinois political beat. I mean, I know he's left. I know what his voting record is. I know what all their voting records are. We publish them. But again, fair-minded, good reporter, understood the political landscape, didn't just regurgitate the bull jive you're hearing from one side. And so the political IQ of his readers was higher than the political IQ of those who didn't read Fornick or who didn't read or listen to Carlos Hernandez-Gomez. Those days are gone in Chicago. 312-642-5600, turnkey.provincial line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. And unlike what Berliner is talking about with Barry Weiss and in this piece, there is no such reflection going on at the NPR Times or WBEZ. There's just the lament. Oh, this is terrible. How dare you fire anybody? How dare you not be able to survive despite taxpayer, forced subsidies? And how dare this happen? This shouldn't. Oh my gosh, we're losing an institution. So on and so forth. There's no reflection. There's no contemplation on why it's happening. Why you can't make the numbers work. Bob in Waukegan, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I'm about as conservative as you can get, and because I listen to you guys during the week and the other station that broadcasts staying conservative people. But on the weekends, when I work in my garage or around the house, I always had NPR on Saturdays. And about 3 years into Trump's administration, they totally switched to completely communist radio, and I couldn't listen to it anymore. I mean, when I did listen to it, my wife would come out and I'd have my radio on doing work and stuff, and she'd look at me like I was an alien because she couldn't believe I had enough within me to even listen to that for an hour. So it's what the guy's saying is true. Bernie Goldberg wrote a book. 15 years ago about bias at CBS, and Cheryl Atkinson wrote another one. Mm-hmm. Mark Levin's got one out, and I forget the name of the one woman that is a total leftist, and she came to her senses. She was married to a Yazidi Christian for a while, and she wrote a book on bias, and it was truthful. I got it in my bedroom. And then she went off the deep end again and went total leftist, and has said nothing about Kristen Powers.
Oh yeah, Kristen Powers. Yeah, right. Yeah.
She wrote the one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for the call, Bob. Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's one thing for Mark Levin to write a book about media bias. It's another thing for a Sarah Lawrence grad raised by a lesbian who drives a Subaru and has been at NPR for 25 years to say the same thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Very helpful.
Oh, I'm missing Carlos Hernandez Gomez right now. His wife, Randy Belisamo, member from WGN.
Oh, yeah.
She started Life Matters Media, which talks about preparing for death. And it's I don't know, I think it's a great website. If any of us are ever in that situation, it's good to check it out.
Hernandez Gomez was a good dude. I really enjoyed my time with him.
I loved him. And I loved his signature hats. And he was just so personable and fair and just an old school journalist at a young age. You know what I mean? Like he was an old soul.
For sure. For sure. Well, again, this bygone era.
Yeah.
Candace in Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin.
Good morning. Yesterday I was listening to Dan O'Donnell's show up here in Wisconsin, and he said that George Soros, he did a long thing about George Soros buying up conservative radio stations.
Well,
his kid, even in Mexico.
Well, what's actually happening is Alex Soros, his kid, who's now in charge, bought Odyssey, which owns stations here. We mentioned this a couple of weeks back, like WBBM News. And what he's actually doing right now, at least, is buying stations like through Odyssey, stations like WBBM News. So this is a little bit more insidious, right? So WBBM News is going to not just be the headlines anymore. It's going to be the headlines, but it's going to be headlines that are even more stilted than they are at present, because you use the official news station. All we just do the news. We're not right or left wing talk. We're just down the middle news. And then Alex Soros is going to get in there, and you're going to have program directors that skew things such that the news is just leftist agitprop.
Well, yeah, they want to keep their bosses happy.
Well, but the insurgent attitude here is smart from Soros's perspective. And yeah, I know he's talked about buying some stations that Cumulus owns too, although, given how far left the local is at WLS, I'm not sure if he could make it any more left than it is. But yeah, no, there's no question. So, the old outlets that some people think are old, not cool anymore because everything's podcast, everything's digital. They still have big audiences, and there are billionaires like Alex Soros who sees a play to be made there. Maybe that's something that conservatives should take judicial notice of. I completely agree. Thanks for the call, Candace. David in Winnetka.
Hey guys, good morning. Thanks for taking my call. Right before the BLM landed here in Chicago, I was driving with Uber, and NPR was my absolute favorite. I mean, it's the only thing that got me through the day. And
if you're a cab driver, of any sort, cab driver, limo driver, Uber driver, I think you're required under law to listen to NPR, aren't you?
Programmed into the
yeah.
and you guys actually was a passenger that turned me on to you guys.
Thank you.
So
Mom.
Absolutely. Where was I with that? Oh, so they started running these stories at least one, it seemed like one every half hour about a black person that was hung, way back when, and they would say the name and this and that. I started thinking, I'm like, well, what are they doing here? Why is this? It was just so odd and so strange, and that's, was the start of everything, and boom, here we are. And here's one more thing. I date outside of my race, and
congratulations.
Yeah.
Did you say you date outside of your race?
It dates outside of his race. He's Irish and he dates Italians.
Oh my God.
No, I'm kidding.
Your mom's
I'm kidding.
okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, so here's what's funny. I'm dating this gal now. I think, and
does she know you're white?
She's.
Does she know you're dating? I mean, you just said, I think I'm dating. Are you dating or you're not? It's like you can't be kind of pregnant.
Well, here's why.
Dating from afar.
When these kind of topics come up, like one with the Reed, boy, and different things, and you're trying to explain your side of like, blacks aren't getting attacked. It's not going on like that, and or whatever, this or that. And she gets so mad, and she doesn't want to hear logic. Oh, by the way, she's a high earner. I mean, she makes about $150,000 a year, so there's got to be, some intelligence there and this and that. She thinks of slavery, that whites went to Africa with guns, and we hunted people down and brought them over here, and has no clue of how any of it's, and it's saddening. It's saddening because if she thinks that way, man, how many people are getting it wrong? And here we are. And so, anyways, guys, thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for the call,
I
David.
don't think they're going to work out.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. You know,
They didn't hunt them down with guns. Okay.
opposites attract, and she makes 150K. You may want to hang on to her. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll check back in with David, see how that relationship is going next time we chat. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen, with everything happening in our world today, it can all feel so complicated. But maintaining your home shouldn't be. For 53 years, Tyson Roofing has been primarily serving DeKalb, Kane, and Ogle counties with industry-leading quality and professionalism, priding ourselves on always using our employees and never subcontractors. In times of uncertainty, you can trust your most important asset to us. Tyson Roofing is a third-generation family-owned and operated company in DeKalb County. We've been a community standard, specializing in residential exterior maintenance since 1971. If you're in the market for a new roof or repair, fresh siding, or need to update your gutters, check us out online at TysonRoofing.com. Spelled THEISEN roofing.com. Or call us at 815-758-8998. That's 815-758-8998. Or TysonRoofing.com. 815-758-8998.
Have you saved enough? What are you going to do with Social Security? What will your taxes look like in retirement? Scott Tucker believes retirement planning should be easy, and you should be able to get all the information you need in one place. That's why Scott created the Retirement Decoded Toolkit, a comprehensive resource for your retirement. In it, you'll find a copy of his latest book, Escape Illinois: Should I Stay or Should I Go? This book will provide insight on taxes, Social Security, income, and more. To get your free Retirement Decoded Toolkit, text KIT, K-I-T, to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Now, in addition to the book, you'll also receive resources on retirement's most common concerns. Get your Retirement Decoded Toolkit from Scott Tucker right now by texting KIT to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. A registered investment advisor, this is a paid placement.
You cannot live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago to set their legacies in stone. With 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties, a prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, you'll hear it only here.
We're going to talk to Chicago FOP President John Canzara about the circus surrounding the release of the videos, the police cam videos of the police-involved shooting of Dexter Reed yesterday, and what happens next, what the FOP's posture will be as COPA goes after the cops involved in that shooting. That's at 6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
6:32, the Biden administration condemning the Arizona Supreme Court's upholding of a 1964 law that results in a near-total ban on abortion in that state.
I am calling on the legislature to do the right thing right now and repeal this 1864 ban and protect access to reproductive health care.
That's Arizona Democrat Governor Katie Hobbs. James and Jennifer Crumbly convicted in separate trials of involuntary manslaughter for the 2021 shooting deaths of 4 students by their son at Oxford High School in Michigan. First time in the U.S. that parents of a child mass shooter have been held responsible by a court. Passenger in a rideshare vehicle here in Chicago was killed overnight. Shots were fired from another vehicle in the Englewood neighborhood. That man was wounded several times, transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he later died. Outside CPD's 11th District Tuesday, chaos erupted as demonstrators blocked streets and clashed with police. Footage released by COPA confirms Dexter Reed Jr. fired first at Chicago police, then may have fired off as many as 8 other shots, according to shell casings recovered in the car in that ongoing investigation. However, Reed's family has hired attorneys, they say, to bring justice and accountability to the case.
And I talked to Mayor Johnson Sunday, and I explained to him that that those officers need to be held accountable, and those officers need more trained. You got young guys that's 2 years, 5 years experience.
Reed supporters are advocating for the abolition of the department's tactical teams and for the officers involved to face criminal charges. A Chicago police officer is accused of sexual misconduct in an incident that occurred in Goose Island last year. Stephen Shaw has been charged with 2 felony counts of custodial sexual misconduct. He's been relieved of police powers and had an initial court appearance this week. Illinois State Representative Tim Ozinga abruptly resigned Monday night. A Republican represented the 37th District and suburbs like Mokina, Orland Park, and Joliet. Ozinga did not give a reason for his resignation, but did release a statement that said, quote, "I will continue to dedicate my time and effort to make Illinois a better place," end quote. Ozinga will stay on as chairman of the Will County Republicans. Jalen Brunson, 45, in the Knicks win over the Bulls, 128-117. Christopher Morel, a grand slam, powering the Cubs over San Diego 5-1. White Sox snap a 5-game losing skid with a 7-5 win over Cleveland. The news is a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of At Properties, Christie's International Real Estate. Experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago with over $800 million in sales. You'll get the most value for your home. Call 708-828-0000. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees a biased world leadership.
The United Nations is a lying, despicable organization. The United Nations has passed more resolutions against Israel than any other country in the world. Iran, North Korea, Communist China, Russia, Israel. Israel's the world villain at the United Nations because there are 52 Muslim countries at the United Nations.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Fellas, there's a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and go to a provider that you can trust. I recommend my friends at Low T Center. It's where I get my levels checked the past several years. At Low T Center, they make it quick and easy. You walk in and take a simple blood test, and you'll get your results back in about 25 minutes. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, have noticed weight gain and loss of muscle mass, you may have low T levels. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
The future of medicine is here at QC Kinetics. QC is the nation's leader in the most exciting revolution in pain management we've seen in decades. Regenerative medicine. If you're tired of achy joints, if your joint pain is keeping you from doing what you love, you need to call QC Kinetics today. Surgery, steroids, drugs, these are no longer your best options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative treatment that delivers lasting results. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of National Medical Director Dr. Michael Scheinkupp. Dr. Scheinkupp is a pioneer in this field with 20 years of clinical work, research, teaching, and publishing. He wants to get you relief with a needle, not a knife. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. Appointments now available on Saturdays. Call 312-809-5955, 312-809-5955. Again, that's 312-809-5955.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements. Changing the world one life at a time.
I'm Dr. Michael Strasberg. I'm a dentist, and I've been taking Balance of Nature now for several years. In my practice, we talk to patients about their health, their nutrition, because the healthier you are, the healthier your mouth is. With Balance of Nature, I felt a noticeable difference. I felt better. Anytime you can feel better, I don't care what age you're at, that's a big plus, big plus.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
I'm Shalom Klein. Join me each week for the Get Down to Business radio show. This show is packed with ideas that will inspire as you search for best practices to grow your business. Whether you are an experienced entrepreneur or just learning the ropes, Get Down to Business will tackle the issues affecting your everyday work life.
Get Down to Business is covered by Tom Mirabali, independent producer for Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois.
Listen each week to Get Down to Business with me, Shalom Klein. Heard Sunday afternoons at 6 right here on AM 560.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds and conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Brandon Tatum weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, followed by Charlie Kirk at 7. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
Don't pay retail for your diamond engagement ring or gift. Come to cleanorigin.com.
6:41. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Actually, we'll start with police activity on the west side Austin neighborhood. Report of police converging on Huron Street eastbound from Laverne to Lamont Avenue, and police activity continuing there. South Shoreline. Police activity in Michigan City. South Shoreline westbound trains are stopped there in Michigan City because of that police activity. I-80 jam solid westbound Chicago to Center, and delays on the Tri-State this morning. Northbound jam solid Reagan up to the Ike. Traffic, a service of True Green, the easiest and most affordable way to get a beautiful lawn. Sign up for an annual plan by April 20th. You get one application free. Call or visit truegreen.com today. Restrictions apply. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunshine gives way to cloudy conditions and mild, high 68. 47 right now. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Only the biggest. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I want to go back to the Dexter Reed police-involved shooting. We've been talking about it for much of the first part of the show because of the attention it's going to generate. Attention in the form of heat, mainly, not light. We're not really in the generation of light business in Chicago, just heat to feed the racial spoils political system we've set up.
Already making national news.
Of course.
Excessive force, 96 shots.
Right, that's what they'll focus on. 96 shots, 16 shots, hands up, don't shoot. got to have a handle
I can't
that
breathe.
mischaracterizes. Right, I can't breathe. That mischaracterizes the situation so as to demonize police. They may not say defund the police anymore, but it doesn't mean they don't want to. And so we know from the body cam videos that were released yesterday that Dexter Reed opened fire first on police officers during this traffic stop. And even after the first hail of bullets, he was able to get to the passenger side of the car. He was outside of the car. You see this from the perspective of one of the responding officers. And then you have the next hail of bullets in which he's killed. We also need to remind people that there was a police officer who was shot. He's recovering non-lethal injuries. Also, he was a black police officer. Just in terms of you just have to include this because you're going to get nothing but racial politics polluting the discussion of this on the merits. And then you have just downright conspiracy theories that are being floated by the family members of Dexter Reed, because they need to absolve him of all responsibility for what he did. Here's his sister's conspiracy theory. Take a listen.
The jump out, whatever they call him, to be 5 deep in the car. If it was a traffic arrest and he was to get arrested, where was he gonna sit? If it's 3 in the back and 2 in the front, where was he gonna sit? I don't think that that's what they was trying to do. I don't know, but I just hope that my brother gets justice.
So it's an assassination, then? Is that what you're saying?
No, they were saying that this tactical unit hunted him down.
Yeah, that's
as if they were bored or something. They were hunting him down to.
No, that's called an assassination. What she's suggesting is they assassinated him. They rolled up on him for the purpose of killing him. There was nowhere for him to sit in the car, since it was 5 deep. So they obviously weren't going to arrest him. They were there to kill him. I mean, nobody wants to ask her that question. What are you exactly saying? If you're going to insinuate something, well, just say it straight away. And Dad has a general statement about the police.
And it's been a known fact in Chicago that police always target black and brown communities, people, And as my son got out pleading for help, been shot 96 times? 96. Yeah, that's too much. About 2 rounds? Come on, 2. I'm watching that. Just imagine how your kids would feel if they got shot like that.
First of all,
imagine how you'd feel if your kid opened fire on police.
Yeah. Comply. That's one word. Comply. And his body, he was not riddled with 96 shots. 96 shots were fired. How many hit his body, we have yet to know, but it was not some bloodbath.
So how many shots would have been okay? What's the number?
Right, you're right. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also reach us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
In that specific instance, with 5 officers responding and then scattering when the suspect opens fire, how many shots was each police officer entitled to fire? Could an expert like Chuck Gowdy or one of the family members or one of the trial lawyers, could somebody tell me, could one of the experts, I want to hear from I don't want to hear from police. I want to hear from the experts. I want to hear from family members. I want to hear from politicians. I want to hear from members of the media. I want to hear from trial lawyers. What's the number? This was excessive. That's what they're saying. Mm-hmm. You just heard Dad say it. You can hear polish-up versions of these bottom-feeding plaintiff's attorneys say the same thing. So what exactly is the number? And not just in total, but individually, so that we can distribute it. Because then we need to distribute. Now, can we distribute it evenly? Or is the black police officer allowed to shoot more because he is a member of a minority group, and the female police officer allowed to shoot more because she is a disadvantaged person too? And then the honky men police officers have fewer shots of the overall total that's distributed in terms of a reasonable response to having someone open fire on you. How about Mom?
Why they did that to my son, they didn't have to do him like that. I love my son. He's a good kid. He played basketball. He always had something to do every day. He wake me up in the morning and he fixed me food. He was showing me how to cook his stuff. And he tell me, Mama, you eat something and stuff like that. When I didn't feel good, he say exercise. He bought a Peloton bike for me to exercise. And he was a good kid. And why they did him like that, I just don't understand. What is wrong with the police is why they doing all these kids, pulling them over with for no reason. All these kids, illegal stuff, they don't do nothing all the time. They just be outside trying to find their way. He had just bought his new car 3 days before that. And he was just riding around in his car. He said, Mom, I'm going for a ride. And they killed him. They killed him. They killed him.
And then she faints.
They killed him.
This is James Gibson, tortured by John Burge and the Midnight Crew.
You brought that guy up. Okay. I mean, I don't know what it's like, and I never want to know what it's like to lose a son, but they killed him. No, he didn't comply. He shot at them. They're just ignoring this obvious fact. And his son just bought his car. That son had side panel damage. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Like that's his new car that he just bought. I don't know.
Maybe it was used. Maybe it was used. I don't know. But yeah, I hear you. And like on these situations, I want to give wide berth to family. You don't want to people are going to grieve differently, and they lost their son, and they want to think the best of their son. And so I'm willing to give wide berth to an extent. And the extent is the sort of conspiracy theorizing and cover stories that they're floating to globalize this so they don't have to localize it. It's police targeting black and brown people. It's a tactical police unit that's actually a death squad.
Right,
that's what essentially was asserted. It's right. We don't have agency. My son didn't have agency. Poor baby boy who's 26 years old, and it wasn't his first run-in with the law. And it's at some point somebody has to say, look, there is. Did you really think that if Dexter Reed would have complied, keep the window down, let me see your hands, if he would have complied, you think that that Chicago police unit was going to execute him on the street anyway?
Heck no.
Of course, nobody thinks that because it's not true. But we're supposed to suspend disbelief so that we can indulge this relinquishment of agency. I'm sorry your son is dead, but aren't you sorry that he opened fire on police, that's the way that he chose to go out? Don't you have a message for other young black and brown men in particular in Chicago and elsewhere to say, let's talk about the talk, and the talk is compliance, and the talk is you never, ever even think about brandishing a weapon, much less attempting to use it against a police officer. It is so basic.
Well,
but we can't even get our minds around. We can't even have a conversation. We can't even have leadership in the city say something unequivocally that is as basic as that.
And the head of COPA is questioning whether this group of cops lied about why they pulled him over in the first place. They said they pulled him over for a seatbelt violation. I've been pulled over for a seatbelt violation. You have. We're both white, right?
Regardless of why he was pulled over, and you can investigate whatever you want to investigate. I'm not here to just sort of knee-jerk flack for the cops. Regardless of why he was pulled over, which will come out, there is no scenario in which opening fire on police, forget justified, makes any sense. There is no I fear for my life scenario there because you're non-compliant and they draw their guns and say comply. None. And nobody can say that. Not a politician, certainly not their legal representation, not the family members themselves. It's all these generic tropes about police hunting black and brown people. Give me a break. I'm sorry your son is gone, but give me a break on this. We can't indulge that sort of silliness because it just costs more lives on both sides of the divide of law enforcement, both the law enforcers and those that are, suspected of breaking the law. It's a disservice, really. So again, grieve. Why birth? But there are limits. There have to be limits. Ken in Grays Lake.
Good morning to you both. I was the police for 35 years. I graduated the Chicago Police Academy way back in 1986. Tactical officer and a firearms instructor. I have no doubt this was a legitimate shoot. I have no doubt it was a justified use of force. And I will give the family a pass on everything because nobody wants to believe their child would do evil. What I do question and what is going to become the focus is 96 shots to eliminate one threat. I question what is going on at the police academy and their firearms program because...
Well, did you see the video?
Well, not all those rounds hit him. I mean,
obviously.
All the video, I've seen much of the video.
So
96 shots, I'm surprised they didn't clip somebody on the sidewalk.
They're around the vehicle, and then he opens fire, and then they, of course, retreat. Right. And they sort of, as best I can make out, they sort of create a semicircle perimeter around the car and around the police car that's parked next to the car, and then you're getting shots fired from 5 officers from 5 somewhat distinct directions, and from a distance too, because they retreat to what they perceive to be a safe distance behind something to barricade themselves or protect themselves, like the corner of a building or whatever. So, in that scenario, when you've got 5 responding officers and they're from that distance that you see in that video, and then after the first hail of bullets, he's outside the car, so obviously he was still alive. You think that's unusual?
I have not seen all the videos. I've seen some of them. I have seen photos of the assailant's car. Kind of looked like the Bonnie and Clyde car, which tells me their shot placement was all over the place. So
clearly.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if they knew what they were shooting at. And in that case, unless you got a clear line to the target, you contain and you don't open up until you've got eyes on the target. And I just saw bullet holes all over the place. Again, wasn't there, it's a unique situation when you're being shot at.
Right.
Stuff can go sideways in a hurry. But my only question is, what's going on with the firearms training at CPD these days?
All right. Thanks for the call, Ken. All right. It's a fair question. Al, Rosemont.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. This is almost comical that I feel about this, how the community's responding. I'm sorry for the loss of life and stuff, and I know the mother is grieving, but, to say all that stuff during that process, it was almost foolishness. I think the evidence is clear. There might be a problem over there at the Chicago Training Center trying to press out 1,000 police officers every 3 weeks in efforts to battle crime. I can imagine that being the case.
Thanks for the call, Al. Miro, Northwest Side.
Thank you. Everyone is blaming the Chicago Police Department for the Dexter Reed's death and the sorrow it caused his mother and his family. Dexter Reed should assume the responsibility for the sorrow that he brought his mother and his family. It's his, because of what his actions that he did on purpose. It's because of those actions that his mother is crying, that his family is grieving, and that they're going to have a large funeral bill. Dexter Reed should assume some responsibility for his own actions, not the Chicago Police Department. He opened up fire first and he did it on purpose. It's Dexter Reed's responsibility, not the Chicago Police Department. They were defending their lives.
Thanks, Merrill. Appreciate it. Rick Joliet.
Yeah, I'm not really going to dispute two callers ago about shot placement and how many shots were fired, but, in the context of renewing a concealed carry permit, the ridiculous rules of engagement, if somebody's in my house or somebody attacks me with a club, I'm not supposed to shoot, I'm supposed to use a club. So maybe the right answer to how many shots should be fired is the same number that the assailant fired, which is two for two, tit for tat, which is a ridiculous argument, almost as ridiculous as this one. To assume that me as a middle-aged white man sitting in a car, open fire on police, would not receive the same retaliation is just, it's inconceivable on its face.
Totally.
I don't care what color I am if I start shooting.
Totally. Thanks for the call, Rick. We got to run, but totally right. And one reminder on this, too. This is not supposed to be a fair fight, as Rick is pointing out. Police are supposed to bring overwhelming force to a scene so as to be able to de-escalate. This isn't shootout at the OK Corral. This is not high noon.
All right.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, mutual combatants.
Yeah.
At 7:07, George Perry, former federal and state prosecutor, joins us. We'll talk a little bit more about this because he's got some experience with police-involved shootings, and then also turn our attention to the Trump trials at 7:07.
But now it is 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
The clock's ticking in Arizona. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A ban on nearly all abortions there, even in cases of rape and incest, could take effect in 2 weeks.
The near total Civil War era ban that continues to hang over our heads only serves to create more chaos for women and doctors in our state.
Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs urging state lawmakers to repeal the old law that's been upheld by Arizona's Supreme Court. Some Republican legislators also want to get rid of it, hoping to restore a 2022 law restricting abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. President Biden says Israel's prime minister is making mistakes, continuing the war against Hamas in Gaza, telling Univision.
What I'm calling for is for the Israelis to just call for a ceasefire.
So that more food and humanitarian aid can get to Palestinian civilians in Gaza. The president also says he could consider executive action to deal with record illegal immigration. Fox's Peter Ducey's at the White House.
President Biden has been on the record earlier this year saying he would have the power to shut down the border if the bipartisan Senate deal became the law, but it's not going to. So until that moment, he has just been claiming that his hands are tied forever. And his DHS secretary, who's in charge of all this, Alejandro Mayorkas, is remaining in limbo a little longer because the House that already impeached him is delaying sending the articles to the Senate.
Instead of today, they'll deliver them next week. Republicans blame Mayorkas for ignoring laws. Senator Ted Cruz says,
"We are witnessing a profound threat to our nation at the southern border. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and this entire administration has deliberately and willfully facilitated the criminal invasion of this country."
But Senate Democrats may not even hold a trial, calling impeachment a policy dispute and publicity stunt. New rules are coming for our drinking water. The EPA finalizing limits on so-called forever chemicals known as PFAs. But legal challenges may be coming. Utilities warn it'll make water cost more because new treatment systems are expensive, and that'll especially hurt smaller communities with limited resources. America's listening to Fox News.
47 degrees, partly cloudy skies. At 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. The Civilian Office of Police Accountability releasing body cam video Tuesday of a deadly police shooting last month in Garfield Park. COPA says video footage and initial reporting confirmed that Dexter Reed fired first, hitting an officer. COPA then said 4 other officers returned fire. The officers fired approximately, according to their counting, 96 times over 41 seconds. Yesterday, COPA head Andrea Kirsten refused to discuss reasons for the traffic stop.
The only information we have at this time is that the entire purpose behind the traffic stop was for Mr. Reed not wearing a seatbelt. We have no information that any other information about Mr. Reed was known to officers.
Outgoing State's Attorney Kim Foxx says a special investigative unit will take a look at the case.
Our ongoing review and collaboration will continue until a determination of whether the use of force was or was not justified in this case.
Meantime, the younger Reed was in court on a serious gun charge less than 2 weeks before his fatal encounter with police. After the release of the video, dozens of demonstrators rushed the intersection of Harrison and Kedzie, stopping traffic and battling with each other and police. The FOP says the video should not have been released so soon. In other news this morning, a 4-year-old boy is critically hurt, shot inside of a vehicle on the northwest side yesterday afternoon. The boy was inside a vehicle driven by his grandmother, shot in the back. The boy's had surgery and is listed in critical but stable condition. The Cubs closing in on permission to install 2 new rooftop signs on buildings that sit just outside Wrigley's outfield walls. The Zoning and Landmarks Committee unanimously passing an ordinance that okays 2 new rooftop signs on buildings now owned by the family that owns the Cubs and Wrigley Field. A 4-year-old boy is dead after being pulled from a hotel pool in the north suburbs. Child was found in the water at the Renaissance Hotel last Friday. A guest at the hotel performed CPR until EMS arrived. The child was taken to Lutheran General Hospital and later pronounced dead. Hoosiers can now vote in the May 7 primary election. Early voting has begun in that state. Jalen Brunson, 45, in the Knicks win over the Bulls at the UC, 128-117. Christopher Morel, first career grand slam. And the Cubs meet San Diego 5-1. Blackhawks try to get back in the win column when they visit the Blues in STL tonight, and the White Sox a 7-5 win over the Guardians. The news, a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of At Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago. Call 708-828-0000. Again, 708-828-0000. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
Joe Biden tells Netanyahu to reduce civilian casualties or risk U.S. support. So what does that mean? Hey, you moron. What does that mean? Are you single-handedly going to abandon Israel in the name of the 7th century barbarians who started the whole conflict? And you want to blame Israel for the death of aid workers who should have never been there in the first place? How many aid workers were in Japan when we dropped 2 nukes on
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, business owners, are you wondering how to grow your business? Do you need cash flow and a ready source for financing? Well, Signature Bank can help. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that Signature Bank's loan decisions are made locally by a team who knows your name, cares about your business, and is invested in your success. When you need advice about your business or even have a question, Signature Bank is there to help. There are no handoffs or call centers. This is a team that wants to get to know you and your business. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. When I call, someone picks up the phone on the other end. And with Signature Bank, I can securely bank anywhere, anytime. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630. That's 773-467-5630. Or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. Signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You know, today, $20 barely gets you a burger and fries, and maybe it'll get you a quarter tank of gas. But you know what it'll get you, though? For just $20 a month, you get unlimited talk and text and plenty of 5G data from my friends, my cell phone company, a veteran-owned company, Pure Talk. Make the switch today, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Now choose a wireless company that shares your values. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, make the switch today. Pound 250, keyword save now from Pure Talk.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
A lot of times people don't understand what a supplement is. A supplement is in addition to your regular foods. It's really just an incredible formula, and I've been doing nutrients for 43 years. It has a tremendous effect on how I feel, my well-being. I love the way It gives me all my supplements for fruits and vegetables, which I take a lot of anyway. But I find that this gives me that supplement that I was missing before.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
7:08, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, Edens 38, Lake Cook Road to the junction. It's an hour on the inbound Kennedy from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays on the Stevenson between Harlem and Kedzie, 48 into Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan inbound, 25 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Due to an earlier accident, Tri-State jammed up northbound between the Stevenson and 47. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
A bit of sunshine giving way to clouds today, mild and the high at 68. Periods of rain from late evening on tonight, low 47. Windy, cooler, rain tomorrow, the high 53. A shower early Friday, then some sun, windy, and a high 59. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
47 at O'Hare. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. All right, we have a lot of legal matters to get to with George Perry, so let's do it. George Perry, former federal and state prosecutor. He blogs at knowledgeisgood.net. George, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Glad to be with you.
So we have been talking this morning about this police-involved shooting of a man named Dexter Reed. I know you've seen the videos that were released yesterday, and I know, despite, Philly being the city of brotherly love and all, that there have been cases of excessive force and having to deal with police and having to deal with suspects and so forth, the big city. And so I just wanted to get your take on what you saw. And, of course, you can anticipate, if you hadn't heard, what's coming from the family, their legal representatives, some of the politicians and the media. 96 bullets, 96 shots. This was excessive, even though the suspect shot first.
Yeah. Begin by giving a little background. At one point in my legal career, I ran the unit in the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office that investigated and prosecuted illegal use of deadly force by police.
Okay.
So watching these videos was kind of like old home week. And reading about it, and I just started this morning reading about it. It's got all the classic elements. You start off with a non-compliant subject who, if only he had rolled the window down on his car, if only he had gotten out of the car, if only he had followed police instructions, none of this would have happened. And the question becomes, who shot first? And frankly, from everything that I've seen, I haven't been able to determine that. But the issue will be
it's been conceded that Dexter Reed shot first.
Okay, then that's the ball game, right there. If he started shooting, then the police can return fire, and the number of bullets, however many shots were fired in response, is basically irrelevant. You keep shooting until you have ended the threat. And I saw on the video that once he was down on the ground, nobody shot him. He was there. They're telling him, don't move, don't move, don't move, and then they cuff him. So everything that I saw was good police work, actually. And in addition to what I saw, what I was reading, and this is just a classic. You've got at least one politician trying to make hay out of the thing by misrepresenting what happened, by claiming to have knowledge of what happened. And gee, it was just terrible what the police did. We used to get that all the time in Philadelphia, and they'd go to the media and start talking about here's what happened. And when we would investigate, we would find it was 180 degrees out from what these people were saying. And it appears to be the case in the Chicago shooting, from what I can read here. You've got this one former candidate for mayor, I believe, who is going around saying, oh, yeah, this was terrible. Here are the facts. Here's what the police did. So you always are going to have that element. You're going to have politicians trying to take advantage of the situation to their own benefit. And then you're going to have a family, a grieving family, who then want to sue the city because depending on what city you're in, like in Philadelphia today, we have a city government structure that routinely concedes these cases.
Yeah, just they're going to get a big check, and they know it, right? But we have the Civilian Political Oversight Authority, and they're part of this too. It's not another layer of bureaucracy to enforce a consent decree that's self-imposed, and just be another anti-police flack inside the system. And so they're focusing on the pretext for the stop, and the stop was allegedly for not wearing a seatbelt, and they're suggesting that the officers be stripped of their police power pending investigation because, to use the lawyerly term, because of the pretextual issue of a stop that perhaps shouldn't have been made. Your reaction to that?
My reaction to that is, if it's against the law in Illinois to be driving around without a seatbelt on, then the officers can stop the individual. If they're claiming that, oh no, he was wearing a seatbelt, and they stopped him, I don't know what. I'm not sure what the significance of that would be, but I'm assuming that when the police say we stopped him because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, that's perfectly proper. And I watched the video where the female officer, who, by the way, did a very good job, approaches the car and she says, roll the window down. The window comes down and then it starts going back up. And she says, don't put it back up. The bottom line is this, and this is like 99% of these shootings. All the individual had to do was comply with what the police officer was telling him to do. And if there had been compliance, there would have been no shooting. There would have been no problem. I know he had a warrant out, or he was on pretrial release for a gun charge. There's a shock. So all he had to do was comply, and none of this happens. So the police were proper in stopping him. If he didn't have a seatbelt on, they're allowed to stop him, and they're allowed to ask for identification. They're allowed to have him get out of the car if they think he could pose a threat. I noticed that the windows on the car were tinted so that when the window went up, they couldn't tell what was going on inside. So I didn't see that the police did anything wrong here. And the number of shots fired, that's, like I said, you keep shooting until you've ended the threat. So, and of course, with these semi-automatic pistols that are issued, like Glocks and all of that, since the day the police switched from revolvers, 6-shot revolvers, to semi-automatic or automatic weapons like Glocks and whatever, the number of shots fired has just gone up exponentially, and that's just a byproduct of the technology involved. I mean, back in the days when all we had were 6-shooters, I'm sure there are a lot of people who wish that they had more than just 6 shots that they could fire. So I just didn't see anything wrong. In all of the video that I looked at, and everything that I've read about it, I don't think the cops have done anything wrong, which is not to say they're not going to be in trouble, because there's too many people who have a vested interest in coming down on the police who are going to push that agenda. And, I predict a massive lawsuit and a big payday for the family, and politicians in Chicago turning this into another George Floyd matter. Yeah. And trying to make as much political hay out of it as they can, even if it led to riots or whatever.
Well, we had one person arrested last night, but this morning the superintendent of police, a black man, he wants the 4 of the 5 police officers stripped of their police powers, which is
good.
Just.
Is that pending investigation?
Yeah, pending the investigation. Yes, but still, it's like
no
one's got their back except the FOP.
Yeah. Well, usually what happens is when a police officer is involved in a shooting, they put him on desk duty, indoor duty, until the investigation has been done.
Yeah, that's what's happened.
Exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So that's kind of standard operating procedure. But
yeah.
The other thing that's interesting about this case is the amount of information that's been released, because frequently the default position of police departments is not to release the evidence and just to stand pat and not mount a public defense, which only leads to more problems. And in those instances that I was involved in where we could get the police department, Frank Rizzo was the mayor back in those days, and Frank didn't believe in sharing anything with the press. But in those instances where we could get the police to release the true facts, it helped a lot to diffuse the situation. And here, I think it's a good thing that these videos have been released and the file is being made public. So that's a good thing. That should help curb some of the undesirable aftermath of this thing. But who knows?
I wanted to get to some other legal matters. Speaking of what is right and proper, so this porn star hush money case in Manhattan, where jury selection is about to begin, and the judge in the case, Merchant, has denied the motion to recuse himself for him to recuse himself because of the relationship that his daughter has with all sorts of Trump political opponents, Adam Schiff and others. Yeah. A D.C. Circuit judge named Reggie Walton went on CNN to defend the judge. So now we have somebody who is ignoring the canons when it comes to even the appearance of conflict of interest. That's Merchant. And we've got Reggie Walton, who goes on CNN to violate another one of the canons, which was with respect to cases before the several courts.
Well, it's very disconcerting to have someone making comments about a judge, and it's particularly problematic when those comments are in the form of a threat, especially if they're directed at one's family. I mean, we do these jobs because we're committed to the rule of law and we believe in the rule of law, and the rule of law can only function effectively when we have judges who are prepared to carry out their duties without the threat of potential physical harm.
First of all, Trump made no threat of physical harm in the direction of the judge or his daughter. That's just invented. Secondly, Canon 3A-6, a judge should not make public comment on the merits of a matter pending or impending in any court. And yet we have D.C. Circuit Court Judge Reggie Walton deciding that it's time to rally around the flag. It's nice to see how these the vanguards of our criminal justice system rally around each other rather than the law and their responsibilities as an officer of the court.
Well, I was stunned when Judge Walton went public and made that statement. I can't recall another time when a federal judge in particular saw fit to go on television or to go public and make statements like that. They're usually very careful about what they say or do in public. And I thought Judge Walton's appearance on CNN, from my standpoint, was unprecedented. And I was basically shocked by it. But look, Trump can say whatever he wants. He hasn't threatened anybody, and he's allowed to say whatever he wants. Now, we have Judge Merchan, who has referred to the case in the District of Columbia against Trump as the federal insurrection matter, even though nobody's been charged with insurrection. So that kind of tells you where Judge Merchan has come from. And on top of that, Judge Merchan has issued this so-called gag order against Trump, which is absolutely and totally unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional prior restraint of free speech. And there is no question whatsoever that that is an illegal order. Of course, Trump being Trump, he says it'd be an honor to go to jail for violating that order. But still, Judge Merchan, if I was Judge Walton, I wouldn't go out of my way to defend what Judge Merchan is doing. But it's all the same club, and they all believe that Trump is a terrible guy, and they're going to go after him. But I think they are eroding. Judge Walton is eroding the authority of the court by going public.
Jack Smith, speaking of the so-called insurrection case, that's what these impartial officers of the court call it. So I guess we should just fall in line, right? Jack Smith, Jack Smith, the prosecutor, he argues in a pleading before the court that this pending decision on, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but Section 1512 of Sarbanes-Oxley interfering with an official proceeding, which, I mean, the idea that Sarbanes-Oxley is being used to criminalize it's just lunacy. But I mean, this has the potential, if it is ruled as inapplicable, that hundreds of J6 defendants could go free and be freed. Those have been convicted under this section of Sarbanes-Oxley. Now Jack Smith is saying that even if that the interpretation of that provision of that statute would does not fit, according to a higher court, does not fit the crimes alleged, that the indictment against Trump survives anyway because of the quote-unquote false elector scheme, and the false elector scheme still represents a illegal, criminally improper attempt to obstruct an official proceeding. And so Trump's indictment would survive even if the indictments of other J6 defendants didn't. What do you say to that?
Well, the false elector scheme is, let me put it this way. In proposing an alternative slate of electors, which is really what Trump was doing, that is precisely what John F. Kennedy did in Hawaii in the 1960 presidential election. The Republican governor of Hawaii had declared the election in Hawaii for Nixon, and the Kennedy people proposed an alternative slate of electors in order to keep their election challenge going forward so that it would have viability. That's essentially what Trump was doing, not only in Georgia but elsewhere. And on the day of the riot, they were proposing an alternative slate of electors. It's perfectly proper to do that. John Kennedy, and when he proposed his alternative slate of electors, they did a recount, and then they did a few other things, and finally it came out, okay, we're gonna credit the Democrat electors, and that's what basically swung that, plus payoffs in Chicago, won the election for John Kennedy. So there's historical precedent for this, and there's nothing in the law that says that what the Trump people did was in any way illegal. They were challenging the outcome of the election, and this was just one more way of challenging the outcome of the election. The crazy-eyed Jack Smith is just, he's talking through his hat again, but we'll see where it goes. He's certainly in the right court to be talking through his hat.
Yeah, apparently.
He's before the Supreme Court. Now that he's before the Supreme Court, he may have some problems with that.
One other matter I thought was worth noting, just so it's brought to people's attention when they are chastised about, blind belief in this alleged rule of law, despite the fact that it's being applied differently to different people based on their political dispositions. A federal judge scolding the DOJ on Friday because DOJ refused to allow attorneys involved in the Hunter Biden investigation to comply with subpoenas issued by House Republicans. The judge in the case noting, rightly, that the Justice Department is being a bit hypocritical, instructing DOJ lawyers not to comply with committee subpoenas while they have thrown other people in prison, like Peter Navarro, for not complying with congressional committee subpoenas.
Yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. And not surprising. I mean, Merrick Garland has been a total disgrace, just a political errand boy for the Biden people. I'm not at all surprised that they've done it, but yeah, that judge is correct. And it is, people talk about the two-tiered system of justice. This is just another example of that.
George Perry, former federal and state prosecutor in Pennsylvania, and he blogs at knowledgeisgood.net. George, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Okay, nice being with you.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Rhett Rasmussen of BestHotGrill.com. We make the Solaire infrared grills, which are perfect for today's busy lifestyles. You're probably in your car right now, wondering what you'll have for dinner tonight. Imagine that when you get home, your Solaire infrared grill will be at 1,000 degrees in 3 minutes. That's right, just 3 minutes. The high heat locks in the juices and flavor and grills faster, so that in a matter of minutes, you could be sitting down to a great tasting grill dinner any and every night of the week. Your smoker or low-slow barbecue is great for the weekend, but the hot, fast speed and convenience of Solaire infrared grills make them your everyday go-to grill. And they aren't just for searing steaks. Solaire infrared grills also enhance fish, chicken, pork, shrimp, veggies, and fruit. Virtually everything your family enjoys. Learn more at besthotgrill.com. That's besthotgrill.com. Solaire infrared at besthotgrill.com.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. The storm season is here. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for sudden damage and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll pour over the details of Mr. 10%'s latest gambit, unconstitutional gambit, to socialize student debt with Steve Moore at 7:37.
But first, let's swing by that newsroom and say hello once again to Mike Scott.
7:32, 46 degrees, partly cloudy skies. House Speaker Mike Johnson delaying sending the House articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas to the Senate. Republicans say they want more time to build support for the trial. Texas Congressman August Pfluger.
It shows the American public just how corrupt this group is, that they won't even have a transparent hearing inside the Senate.
Mayorkas was impeached earlier this year on grounds he willingly let in thousands of migrants and asylum seekers with little or no vetting. Crews in Maryland are working around the clock to clear debris from the Baltimore bridge collapse. U.S. Coast Guard says their priority is finding the bodies of 3 remaining construction workers and have a general idea of where the victims are. The Chicago Civilian Office of Police Accountability released body cam video Tuesday of a deadly police shooting last month in Garfield Park. COPA says video footage and initial reports confirm that Derek Reed Jr. fired first, hitting an officer. COPA said 4 officers then returned fire. COPA head Andrea Kirsten confirms that police-worn body camera footage shows Dexter Reed firing first out of a passenger side window, striking a Chicago police officer. Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Thankfully, he's recovering, but if that bullet had hit him a few inches in a different direction, I would be here today talking about the loss of another black man.
The younger Reed was in court on a serious gun charge less than 2 weeks before his encounter with police. After the release of the video, dozens of demonstrators rushed the intersection of Harrison and Kedzie, stopping traffic. Reviews and reports will take months. In other news this morning, a 4-year-old boy critically hurt, shot inside a vehicle on the city's northwest side yesterday afternoon. That boy has had surgery and listed in critical but stable condition. Cubs are closing in on permission to install 2 new rooftop signs on buildings that sit just outside Wrigley Field's walls. The Zoning and Landmarks Committee unanimously passing an ordinance that okays 2 new signs on buildings owned by the family that owns the Cubs and Wrigley Field. Illinois taxpayers will be paying much more so state employees can have Cadillac health insurance coverage. Taxpayers will pay more for state employees' group health insurance program. Raven Devon is director of the Illinois Department of Central Management and admits the reason that Illinois' increases being passed along to taxpayers are larger than that of neighboring states is because of the Cadillac plan.
Over the last 3 years, we saw normal or traditional increases of between 5 and 9%. This year, between mandates from the General Assembly and, quite frankly, our carriers kind of coming in at some point, some as many as 40% increases.
Also, Devon admits in the past 2 years, the state employee group insurance program has grown to include 6,000 individuals and dependents. Jalen Brunson on fire, another 40-point night in the Knicks win over the Bulls, 128-117. Cubs get a grand slam from Christopher Morel, and they beat San Diego 5-1. White Sox 7-5 winners over the Guardians. Blackhawks take on the Blues tonight. The news, a service of Ingrace with Jim Scudder Jr., now heard Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum sees us reaping what we sow.
It is insane what America has endured during the Biden administration. Are you happy now? For everybody out there that hated Donald Trump and was talking all that trash about Donald Trump, he don't love man. He did a Russia collusion. He's a racist. I'm hoping that people are waking up and seeing the truth about what's happening.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Fellas, there's a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and go to a provider that you can trust. I recommend my friends at Low T Center. It's where I get my levels checked the past several years. At Low T Center, they make it quick and easy. You walk in and take a simple blood test, and you'll get your results back in about 25 minutes. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, have noticed weight gain and loss of muscle mass, you may have low T levels. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
In a big city like Chicago, we all know that there are challenges, especially for children. But behind the staggering statistics we often hear about, there are real kids who need support to overcome these barriers. That's what By the Hand Club for Kids is all about. By the Hand Club for Kids is a faith-based, nonprofit organization serving children in some of Chicago's most under-resourced neighborhoods, places like Austin, Englewood, Cabrini Green, and Alkell Gardens. By the Hand Club for Kids runs after-school programs for children that nurture their minds, their bodies, and their souls. Right now, By the Hand Club for Kids is serving nearly 1,800 children, and we need your help. Your one-time gift of just $120 will provide a day of after-school programming for 2 children. Or you can become a club champion and give a monthly gift of just $40, which will provide for 8 children in the next year. Give that gift today by going to bythehand.org/radio. That's bythehand.org/radio.
You know, today, $20 barely gets you a burger and fries, and maybe it'll get you a quarter tank of gas. But you know what it'll get you, though? For just $20 a month, you get unlimited talk and text and plenty of 5G data from my friends, my cell phone company, a veteran-owned company, Pure Talk. Make the switch today, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Now, choose a wireless company that shares your values. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, make the switch today. Pound 250, keyword save now from Pure Talk.
And Doug. Being a spokesperson's easy, kid. Just say, customize and save with Liberty Mutual.
Customize and save with Liberty Bibberty.
That's not it.
Liberty Mutual. Liberty Musical.
Nope.
Lumberty, line.
It's 2 words. Liberty Mutual.
Got it. Don't not pay at libertymuttnoodle.com.
Wow. I guess I'll just do it. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com. That's a wrap.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Don't pay retail for your diamond engagement ring or gift. Come to cleanorigin.com.
7:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, West Side, Austin Community. Huron Street, eastbound from Laverne to Lamont, is closed due to police activity still in place. In Geneva, an accident, Chestnut and County Farm, I-80. Numerous potholes showing up this morning in a right lane. 10 cars or more on the shoulder with flat tires. And this is westbound I-80 between Briggs and Center Street. Debris on the roadway reported this morning. It's on the Reagan I-88 between Orchard and Route 59. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Sunshine giving way to clouds. Mild, high of 68. Rain overnight and 47. It's 46 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the next round of unconstitutional socialization of student debt, that was announced the other day when Mr. 10%, the big guy, President Biden, was in Wisconsin. But, you know, when you want something of a policy nature explained, you obviously go to Kamala Harris.
Of course.
She's the policy wonk in this administration.
Oh, she's the best.
So in case you're confused about the sort of broad parameters of the latest socialization of student debt, who you'll be paying for, Kamala is here at the ready.
Your loans will be completely forgiven, regardless of your income and even if you did not graduate. So I'm going to repeat that. If you've paid undergraduate loans for more than 20 years or graduate loans for more than 25 years, those loans will be completely forgiven, regardless of your income and even if you did not graduate. And forgiveness will be automatic for the vast majority of the 25 million people that we believe will benefit from this approach.
And we're just buying more votes.
Charles Payne, one of my favorites on Fox Business. Not my favorite, because that would be Stuart Varney. You know why?
Because he has you on his show.
Exactly right. If Charles Payne had me on his show, I would like them equally.
Oh, my God. Stop it.
So Charles Payne has some room to grow in terms of my affinity. Anyway, Charles Payne, he's been all over this issue. He gets really impassioned about this, which I love. And in reaction to what the Biden-Harris team proposed, this was no exception. Take a listen.
the bulk of it, the biggest chunk, if you go through, at least demographically, 35 to 49-year-olds, right? We're talking really like, we know this is a lure for young voters. You're in college right now. The idea is, hey, I'll never have to pay this back. But people who are paying it back, these suburban families, right? We know this election is going to be won or lost in the suburbs. This is also a gift to them as well. So, but to your point, about 93% of these loans since Obama have been backed by the federal government. That's American taxpayer money. And, you know, I've gone through the litany of why this is nuts, but think about this for a moment. No income threshold. So you get, you know, listen.
You don't even have to apply for it.
Right. So,
they just check the records and
someone
send you
with like a master's degree, someone who's going to make $5 million in their lifetime, is going to have someone making less than $1 million in their lifetime, paying their college.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think how crazy, how unfair is that?
Yeah.
This is the most unfair, most elitist thing I've ever seen, over and over and over again.
Yeah.
President Biden, he keeps saying, I'm going to give money, I'm going to take from the poor and give to the most fortunate people on the planet.
Yeah.
That's a crazy scheme.
I just had a thought. You know,
Crazy scheme. Let's see if Steve Moore can do better than Charles Payne. Steve Moore, economist, Govzilla author. Steve, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys. And I'm having trouble paying my mortgage, so I was wondering if I could apply for one of these forgiveness things. And also, you know, I have big credit card debt right now, Dan.
Yeah.
I can't pay it. I was wondering.
That's
I was
what's
wondering,
next.
Yeah, Amy, I was
College
wondering
debt.
if you guys would. I was wondering if you guys would quote forgive my debt.
And it doesn't matter if you've ever made a credit card payment.
And it doesn't matter if you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
We'll pay it off. But I mean, if you can't pay off your student loan in 20 years, maybe you went to the wrong college.
It is so maddening. And by the way, they don't even explain why. There's no explanation why someone should have their loan, quote. And don't you love this term, forgiveness? Okay, we're going to forgive you for your loan. Now, I want to mention something. Back when Barack Obama was president, remember Barack Obama? He had this plan that, and we talked about this. By the way, you mentioned that Stuart Varney is your favorite. I mean, I love Stuart Varney too. I do his show every Monday morning. But what about Larry Kudlow? I mean, come on.
I like Larry Kudlow, but he doesn't have me on as much. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to make that happen.
Yeah,
but
please.
anyways, I was on a show last night, and we were talking about this very issue, and we mentioned the fact that, and one of the guys I was on with, I had forgotten about this, that Barack, do you remember when Barack Obama basically had the federal government take over the whole student loan program because it was going to be much more efficient that way, right?
Of course.
You know,
like healthcare.
And this, you're not going to believe this, folks, but it's true. This was actually, quote, a pay for Obamacare. You know, that we were going to save so much money on student loans and we'd be able to pay for Obamacare. Now the student loan program is going bankrupt. Nobody's ever. By the way, I mean, again, I get so angry to even talk about this. This is going to be the death of the student loan program. What kind of idiot, what kind of moron would ever pay a student loan from now on?
They won't have to. But obviously, this is a classic way to try and buy votes, but it's not even legal.
Well, and it's
Supreme Court said so.
The point that that Charles Payne makes too, which is a really important one, is you think of these poor 24-year-old, 23, 24-year-olds with this burdened debt, and they're trying to make their way. No, he's buying votes. People in their 30s and 40s still paying. You know, that have families in this, and I appreciate having to pay back student loans. I did it too, as Amy did. But I mean, but don't think of this as like the you know, the Gen Zers and stuff. This is getting up to Gen X in terms of buying votes.
Yeah. And it's basically it is the death of the student loan program because it's also almost, it's like when we have every 5 years these amnesty programs for illegal immigration. Well, what does that do? It tells people come into the country and then 5 years from now you can get amnesty, and you keep doing that over and over again. No one's ever going to pay back a student loan. But another feature of this that I think we've talked about before, but I want to mention, is that first of all, if you don't pay your student loan back, you're a deadbeat. Now, the left has gone completely crazy that I use that term. But what is a deadbeat? A deadbeat is somebody who doesn't pay their obligation. And if you're not paying now, look, some people may be in a severe situation where they can't pay their loan. In that case, instead of forgiving their loan, why don't we, refinance it so that they can pay it? But who is the other villain, Dan and Amy, in this story?
By the way, you say deadbeat, I say victim.
Yeah.
Is there a villain in this story?
Who is the other? Well, I mean, the federal government, the colleges that raise their tuition based on being subsidized by the federal government. There's many villains.
Yeah, exactly. But you're leaving out one. You're right. The federal government is a villain here. The Obama administration was a villain here. Biden obviously is. But the other big villain that nobody's talking about is the damn universities. Right. It's the greatest financial scandal in America that we keep subsidizing them, and every time we pay more and more student loans, what do the universities do? What do you think they do, Amy? They raise their tuition.
Right. I mean, how is it that when I went to Iowa, it was $7,000, and now it's $40,000?
Exactly.
A year.
So this is a dog chasing its tail, and I guarantee you, folks, if this program goes through, it's going to soon university tuition is going to be $100,000 a year.
Well, and the other thing about this too is more than 2/3 of kids that do go to college are going to state universities that are nonprofits, that are land grant, that are have statutorily set tuition. I mean, you're right. I mean, they're all part of the grift. Is these state universities that are supposed to be accessible, and don't even get me started on their admittance policies in places like the University of Illinois, your alma mater. But I think the larger point here too that needs to be driven home again and again is, so Biden is forgiving, but hey, you over-the-road truck driver, you who went to apprentice school, didn't go, you're paying. So he forgives and you get a bill in the mail.
Yeah, no, the working class blue-collar workers of America get screwed under this program. And by the way, you mentioned the University of Illinois, and I want to, if I may, just for 1 second, change the topic for a second, but it involves the University of Illinois. I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, that University of Illinois gave their Hero of the Year
Tony
award
Fauci.
to Anthony Fauci.
Yeah.
And have you seen the new report by Rand Paul?
Yeah.
Rand Paul,
About what he knew?
That he knew. He lied to Congress. He is a villain. He should be in jail. And how dare the University of Illinois give him an award? Everything that Anthony Fauci did with respect to to COVID was a lie. He misled people. That guy, I'm never going to give another penny to the University of Illinois for that. That's outrageous.
Well, I hate to break it to you, and I hate to say, where have you been all my life, Steve Moore? But the University of Illinois is the same university that hires convicted terrorists like James Kilgore and Bill Ayers. Well, Bill Ayers wasn't convicted, and Bill Ayers at UIC to be on their faculty. So, I mean, Tony Fauci is actually a step up from domestic terrorists, perhaps, arguably.
Yeah.
So anyway,
well, folks, do not give your money to that university. I mean, do not. And by the way, I have a special place in my heart for Champaign-Urbana. I had a great time there, but that was a different era. It is not the same university it was. And get rid of this damn the president of the University of Illinois should be fired immediately.
Back when Steve Moore was there, he was a classmate with Red Grange, and so it was a different time. Yeah. So, well, we got to tackle this other topic too, because it turns out that all of the dial turning and lever pulling by the mystics on the Fed have not slayed the inflation beast.
3.5%.
3.5% CPI today, right?
Yeah, 3.5%, and we're on a pace back to 4.5% to 5%. We have not slayed the inflation dragon. Gas. What are you paying now, Amy, for gas there?
Oh, it's creeping up to 5 in the city.
Yep.
4.32 out in the burbs.
Right now, I'm in California. I'm in LA. We're right here. They're paying. I see a sign from my hotel room. Yep, $5.50 a gallon. Boy, inflation's really coming down.
And prices are only going up at the supermarket. I can tell you that.
Maybe we need. Well, this is why we need that credit card forgiveness you're talking about. Since you have to use your credit card to finance your groceries and gas purchases. That's going to be the next, maybe that's the October surprise.
That's my point.
You've been saying that for a while, Stephen Moore.
Yeah,
it's unfair that people have to pay a credit card bill. I mean, I think there should be forgiveness for every debt in America. Let's have it. What do they call that? The Day of Jubilee or something like that, where everyone's debts are just forgiven.
Right. That comes right after the Purge Day, where everybody can just break the law and kill each other. So we've got, the calendar is filling up. Steve Moore, he is an economist. He is the author of GovZilla. Thanks as always, Steve. Appreciate it.
What day of the week are you on with Stuart, Barney?
I don't have a set day and time. I'm not a big shot like you, so it's occasional.
Monday morning.
Yeah, I know. Don't
All right,
Bigfoot
big
me.
shots.
Don't
All
Bigfoot
right.
me more. Yeah, you couldn't get into Northwestern.
Oh, my God.
Ooh,
did you
ouch.
say
Yeah,
that?
see?
Hey, wait, did you apply, though, to Northwestern?
He
You know,
did. He
it's
went.
an old line from, remember, the Tom Cruise movie where he doesn't get in Princeton, says it looks like it's the University
Yep.
of Illinois.
I love that. I love that part of that. Risky business. Yep.
Yeah. All right, thanks,
You guys-
Steve, Mr. Illini. All right.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
It has been confirmed. Those brave Americans who are trying to preserve free speech continue to be censored, shadow banned, or silenced. Wealth Protection Research is on a mission to share the liberating ideas of some of America's brightest and most free thinkers, people like Jim Rickards and Porter Stansberry, whose ideas are putting financial control back in the hands of everyday people, helping them protect their money against a government that seems intent on destroying it. Text TRUTH to 76626 to find out more. As this election moves forward, we just released a report that reveals our 3 favorite ideas for protecting and growing your wealth during the 2024 election. These ideas are especially critical if you have an IRA or 401k. Text TRUTH to 76626. Discover ideas that are so simple and actionable they might save your retirement. Text TRUTH to 76626 now for your free report. That's TRUTH to 76626. Standard text and data rates may apply.
By the way, none of this matters anymore. Did you see that the cicada apocalypse is coming? Yeah. I wonder what the glasses are for that. Billions of cicadas will soon emerge in the United States, a rare event for cicadas with a 13-year life cycle and a 17-year life cycle to reach adulthood at the same time. They're going to overrun Illinois, and they're going to be munching on corpses from Zion to Cairo, just so you know. So end times is near. So don't worry about, student debt, credit card debt, gas prices. Guys, if you've been feeling tired, grumpy, have noticed lack of motivation and drive, have weight gain or loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. Trust my friends at Low T Center. It's where I get my levels checked, have the past 8 years. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's a simple blood test with their on-site lab. You'll get your results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office. It's concierge medicine for men. Their physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized treatment plans for each patient. Most health insurance is accepted for treatment, and they have affordable and convenient options for treatment, including physician-monitored self-inject treatments for established patients that ship directly to you each month, so there's no need to drive to the center for weekly visits. And right now, Low T Center is only $25 to get your T level tested. So make your health and quality of life a priority. Go to lowtcenter.com to do that by booking your appointment online today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Hi, it's Sean Thompson here. You know when you're at the mall and you go to those directory signs, the one that says you are here? Well, imagine that directory is a map of your preparation for retirement. Would you know where you are? My friend Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group is offering you the opportunity to not only find yourself on that map, but also find the route toward a successful retirement. He calls it his retirement roadmap. You'll get an analysis of where you are right now, whether you're at risk if the market drops again, whether you're taking advantage of the latest tax changes, and much, much more. To get an idea where you stand on the road to retirement, call my friend Tom Fortino at the Alpha Wealth Group today at 630-934-1855. That's 630-934-1855. And ask for the retirement roadmap, or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And don't forget to listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560, The Answer at 9 a.m.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Do you have joint pain, pain in your knees, your hip, your back, your elbow? Well, guess what? Surgery, steroids, drugs, these are no longer your best options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative treatments that deliver lasting results. Folks, we're talking natural biologics, using your body's own power to repair and restore damaged tissue. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of National Medical Director Dr. Scheinkupp. Dr. Scheinkupp is a pioneer in this field with 20 years of clinical work, research, teaching, and publishing, and he wants to get you relief with a needle, not a knife. So call QC Kinetics now to learn more about some exciting options. It's a revolutionary approach that can get you long-term relief with no downtime. If you have pain from arthritis or from an injury, you want to call QC Kinetics today. Call them for a free consultation. Yes, it's free, and they're now taking appointments on Saturdays. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. They will answer all of your questions, but call today, 312-809-5955.
Are you a driver of a Ford PowerStroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford PowerStroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage. The shop is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage specializes in Ford PowerStroke, Chevy Duramax, Dodge Cummins, Mercedes Sprinter, and Isuzu diesel engines and transmission repairs. At Remke's, they'll make your vehicle repairs convenient by offering a free commercial loaner vehicle.
Remke's Garage, where you won't spend $1,000 to fix a $100 problem. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at 800-5-REMKES or visit Remke'sGarage.com. Remke's Garage, your diesel headquarters.
AM 560, The Answer.
Speaking of people who play by the rules taking it in the shorts, we'll discuss with Batya Ungar-Sargon from Newsweek at 8:08.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
New rooftop signs for Wrigley Field. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Prices are inflating again, so that could deflate stocks. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Dow futures are plunging on Wall Street after the report just out showing consumer prices rose more than expected last month, 0.4%.
The annual number, it's even hotter than expected, but we did expect it to increase 3.5%.
Fox Business Network's Lauren Sinetti says that's continuing a trend of the annual rate of inflation increase rising again. House Republicans won't deliver articles of impeachment against the head of Homeland Security to the Senate today, delaying that till next week, blaming Alejandro Mayorkas for ignoring laws allowing record illegal immigration. Though at the White House, they call it a baseless PR stunt, a policy dispute. Fox's Peter Ducey reports from there
that President Biden is likely to sign an executive order by the end of this month. That is according to an Axios report that is also detailing a fight inside the West Wing between staffers who don't want to shut the border down the way that Trump did and staffers who know that they are getting clobbered on this issue of immigration by Republicans in an election year.
There's an urgent call for change in Arizona after the state Supreme Court upheld a Civil War-era ban on nearly all abortions there, even in cases of rape and incest. Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs wants lawmakers to repeal it immediately.
We are 14 days away from this extreme ban coming back to life.
Republicans want to bring back abortion restrictions at 15 weeks of pregnancy. The EPA wants our water to be filtered better.
The Environmental Protection Agency says the move to limit certain PFAS or forever chemicals will reduce exposure for 100 million people and help prevent thousands of illnesses, including cancers. It's the first national drinking water limit on the substances, which are hazardous because they don't degrade in the environment and are linked to health issues like low birth weight and kidney cancer.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. There'll be something new at the Olympics this summer. Some athletes won't just be going for the gold, they'll run for the money. Cash prizes will be awarded in Paris for the winners in track and field events. America's listening to Fox News.
Partly sunny skies, 46 degrees, 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A 4-year-old boy is critically hurt after being shot inside a vehicle on the city's northwest side yesterday afternoon. The shooting happened in the 3300 block of West North Avenue near Humboldt Park, right around 4 o'clock. The boy was inside the vehicle driven by his grandmother when he was shot in the back. The boys had surgery but still listed in critical but stable condition. Cubs are closing in on permission to install 2 new rooftop signs on buildings that sit just outside Wrigley's outfield walls. The Zoning and Landmarks Committee unanimously passing an ordinance that okays 2 new rooftop signs on buildings owned by the same family that owns the Cubs and Wrigley Field. Hoosiers can now vote in the May 7th primary election. Early voting had begun and will run until the primary election day. Voters will be choosing their party's nominees for local officials in Indiana all the way up to governor. Jalen Brunson, 45, in the Knicks win over the Bulls, 128-117. In San Diego, Christopher Morel hit his first career grand slam, and the Cubs beat the Padres 5-1. White Sox snap a 5-game losing skid with a 7-5 win over Cleveland. Blackhawks try to get back in the win column when they visit the Blues in STL tonight. The news service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. AM 560 news time is 8:03. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Wall Street will be responding today to the Consumer Price Index for March. Delta Airlines shares are rallying up more than 4.5% after its upbeat start to the year. Its first quarter profit top forecasts it saw record revenue. Business travelers are back to flying, and demand for leisure travel is holding up. Boeing is responding to a whistleblower's accusation that the company used shortcuts to fix 787 jets. The company says it's determined there's no safety concern for any planes currently in service, and it's in the process of determining long-term inspection and maintenance needs under the oversight of the FAA. Boeing says it also responded to employee concerns about 787 production in 2021 and 22. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
AM 560 news time is 8:05. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. There is an endless lawfare campaign being waged against former President Trump, and all fair-minded Americans ought to be repulsed by it. The absurd circus in the New York civil, quote, fraud case alerted the center-right and center-left voters that the Empire State is no place for Republicans or even moderates to do business. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg is about to increase Trump's lead with Bragg's joke of a criminal prosecution, even if it results in a conviction. I don't think Trump can get a fair trial from the presiding judge there or a Manhattan jury pool, so I expect that conviction. But I don't think it will hurt him in any way. The polls are great for Trump, awful for Biden. The cake seems baked, absent some extraordinary event, and a Manhattan show trial isn't going to be such an event, no matter the result. Democrats gavel in the Chicago convention on August 19th. The question I've been pondering is, when do Democrats start to panic? If they haven't already. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
You know, today, $20 barely gets you a burger and fries, and maybe it'll get you a quarter tank of gas. But you know what it'll get you, though? For just $20 a month, you get unlimited talk and text and plenty of 5G data from my friends, my cell phone company, a veteran-owned company, Pure Talk. Make the switch today, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Now, choose a wireless company that shares your values. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now. Make the switch today. Pound 250, keyword save now from Pure Talk.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
It's 8:07. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound on the Edens Expressway, 26 from Lake Hook Road into the junction. The Kennedy at an hour 20 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Dan Ryan in 30 minutes. Solid from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State northbound jams up Roosevelt to the Ike. Reagan I-88. Debris on the roadway. Eastbound 88 between Orchard and Route 59. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast in our QC Kinetics Weather Center. Here's Steve Williams.
A bit of sun and some clouds, a mild day. High today 68. Rain tonight from late evening on, low 47. Wind and rain cooler tomorrow, the high 53. Showers early Friday morning, then some clouds and sun. A windy day, high 59. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Partly cloudy and 46 right now. Next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I love revisiting this Michael Moore riff from 2016. 2016. Like a broken clock, Michael Moore is right. Well, he's not right twice a day. He's right once every decade. How about that? I don't know what that compares to. Category unto himself. But Michael Moore understood Trump's appeal in 2016, even if his brethren on the left didn't. And as we have said countless times, the only thing that's changed in the intervening 8 years is the people who play by the rules are getting it harder in the shorts from the political ruling class than they were in 2016, as we were just talking about with Steve Moore in the latest student loan forgiveness gambit. Forgiveness meaning I forgive you and I'm going to force this guy to pay for my forgiveness.
Right.
Michael Moore back in 2016, just to refresh recollections, an instant classic. And this was at Town Hall in Michigan.
Every beaten down, nameless, forgotten working stiff who used to be part of what was called the middle class loves Trump. He is the human Molotov cocktail that they've been waiting for. The human hand grenade that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them. And on November 8th, Election Day, although they lost their jobs, although they've been foreclosed on by the bank, next came the divorce, and now the wife and kids are gone, the car's been repoed, they haven't had a real vacation in years, they're stuck with the shitty Obamacare bronze plan where you can't even get a Percocet. They've essentially lost everything they had, except one thing. The one thing that doesn't cost them a cent and is guaranteed to them by the American Constitution, the right to vote.
Yeah, although...
I just got the chills again.
Although they've certainly tried to take away the right to vote effectively, haven't they?
Oh, yeah.
Between the mail-in election in 2020 and the...
Drop boxes.
Well, all the things that happened in 2020, and then in advance of 2024, allowing 7, 10, 12 million people to come to this country, even as you have movements afoot in urban centers to allow people in this country legally, non-citizens, to vote in local elections. Gee, what's the mind's eye on that program? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined again by Batya Ungar-Sargon. She's the opinion editor at Newsweek. She's the author of a new book, Second Class, How the Elites Betrayed America's Working Men and Women. It's a story that's just becoming more and more pronounced with each passing day, isn't it? Batya, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I was just remembering the first time you guys had me on for my first book 2 years ago, and I'm so grateful to you for all of the support. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Oh, our pleasure. So, I mean, as you, think about, it certainly did in advance of this book that you penned. As you think about the last 8 years, what's your characterization of where the American people were in 2016 versus where they are today, both in terms of, particular segments as well as the divide between those particular segments?
Yeah, it's a great question. I had not heard that Michael Moore quote. I was shocked. I'm like, he got it? He knew this? It's so random. You're right. It's like a broken clock because I hadn't heard that, and it is so accurate. People really feel that things have gotten worse and worse and worse for them. Working class Americans are keenly aware of the fact that in their parents' generation, you could be a trucker or a janitor or a nurse's aide or what have you and still be able to buy a home, cover all your bills, and retire in dignity. And that American dream has become increasingly out of reach for working class Americans, and it's totally been turbocharged over the last 4 years under President Biden. People really can't afford groceries at this point. They're standing in the line at the grocery store and putting items back because they can't afford them. What an indictment for the richest country on earth.
Well, we also have this problem of sort of general ignorance, and I suppose this is why the soak the rich line of rhetorical attack continues to work. But there's a poll out about, since we're on the cusp of tax day here next week, a third of Democrats think the top 1% pay only 1% of total income taxes, as opposed to what they actually pay, which is approaching a majority. I think it's at 46%. So they're off by a factor of 46, which is pretty good for Democrats. But still, it speaks to why you keep hearing the same thing we've been hearing our entire life from the left, and why they keep saying it. It's working.
And can I tell you something so ironic? First of all, I bet that the third of Democrats who believe that are the over-credentialed college elites. It's probably the most educated who have gone to college who believe that nonsense. But then when it comes to Trump's tax cuts, suddenly all they care about is the total amount that was cut, right? So they don't tell you that the middle class and the working class got the highest percentage of tax cuts under Trump. They only tell you that the rich got all of these tax cuts, right? Because they're complete hypocrites. You're totally right. And the way that the leftist elites look down on the working class and sneer at them and call them racist, and a threat to democracy if they vote for the candidate they think is most likely to help them. That is the most salient feature of American public life, and it's why I wrote my book, Second Class. I traveled the country interviewing working class Americans from all races, all backgrounds, all religions, all political persuasions. And what I found will not be surprising to your listeners, I'm sure many of whom are working class, it's that there's a lot more unity in the working class than there is division. Polarization is just a totally elite phenomenon because the elites make money and get power off of trying to convince us to hate our fellow Americans.
Well, when you interviewed these people, where did you go to find the second-class citizens of America?
I went all over. I went to California. I went to Ohio. I went to Denver. I spoke to people in Alaska, West Virginia, obviously the whole New York metro area, Houston, Florida. I really traversed the country. I spoke to about 100 people, and then I culled down to the 20 who I felt were both the most charismatic and interesting, but also the most representative. And I profiled them in Second Class, and then I asked them what policies would help you most. And I spoke to experts, and then I took the experts' policy proposals back to the working class people and said, do you like this idea? Do you like that idea? And came down to the 6 or 7 totally nonpartisan, easy to implement policy proposals we could do tomorrow as a country that would increase exponentially the number of working class Americans who had access to the American dream.
How many people said student loan forgiveness?
Dan.
Most of them?
What was surprising
That was top priority?
The Democrats and the Republicans were like pretty much in total agreement about what policies would help them. Isn't that surprising?
Well, give us an example or two.
Yeah, what's that?
All right. So top of mind, vocational training, which was defunded under President Obama, really important to people. We have a massive dearth of skilled tradesfolk in this country, and vocational training in high schools, instead of telling everyone who doesn't go to college is a loser, which is like the Democrats' position, because obviously going to college makes you a Democrat, right? So vocational training in schools, getting rid of zoning laws that protect the properties of rich liberals, where they don't allow duplexes to be built in their neighborhoods. We could build 1 million homes a year and solve the housing crisis in 10 years if we did that. Other things that were mentioned were getting rid of degree requirements. Immigration was huge. People just want like a total moratorium on immigration, legal and illegal, for the foreseeable future, because they know that it drives down the wages for their jobs. And even, the H-1B visas, why shouldn't Americans be getting those jobs? And then the final thing was healthcare. They really felt like they couldn't afford good healthcare. Premiums are insane. Often healthcare you get through your employment, they have deductibles that are $3,000, which is all of their savings go to every year. So I would say those are sort of the majority of the ideas that were. So if you think about it, right, healthcare and immigration, each party has one piece of the puzzle, but is actively undermining the other piece of it. And it's really, as far as I'm concerned, the first party that gets to that combination is going to have a permanent majority. So, if the Republicans are listening and want, a policy platform, most working class people, they don't like welfare, but they also support, rich people paying more taxes. They are very pro-gay, but very worried about trans. They're sort of somewhere in, they're extreme moderates is how I would characterize them.
Where did they come down in terms of the rank order priority of coverage for gender reassignment surgery? Was that a big issue to the working class?
I was so surprised that people were so supportive of the gay people in their lives, including a lot of Christians who I spoke to who had a gay person in their life who they wanted treated with respect, but they were very, very against trans people in sports, trans people in bathrooms, and teachers talking about sex to children. They thought all of that was terrible. I spoke to a gay CNA in Florida who told me that any parent who takes their child to a drag show should be put in prison.
So interesting. So, so on the cultural front, it's sort of always been the disposition, even when there's disagreement, but we're not able to disagree anymore. We have to sort of, demonize and in turn and so forth our political enemies. But it's sort of what you're describing is sort of a live and let live philosophy. Like, you as an adult, you can chart your own course. But your rights end at the tip of my nose, and don't compel me to pay for your choices and the consequences that come from your choices. And don't make me and everybody else have to sort of reorder our entire lives to accommodate your choices and the consequences of your choices. Is that sort of a fair summary?
It's 100% accurate. And the best example of this, I think, was most of the women I spoke to, whether they were Democrats or Republicans, told me that they would never, ever get an abortion because it's against their beliefs, but they also were against an abortion ban because they felt that it was not their right to judge their neighbor and her decisions. That is who the American working class is, conservative and deeply tolerant.
Do they generally agree with me that angry white leftist females in the suburbs who went to went to exclusive colleges and whose husband makes 6 or 7 figures are the worst people in the world, and we need to do something about them?
That particular set of concerns didn't come up, Dan.
Yeah. All right. Maybe it's the way you framed it. Maybe I'll tag along next time and plumb the depths of that. Yeah. No, but part of that is what you're getting. I'm obviously sensationalizing it, but what you do get to in your book in a substantive way is, people that don't live in wealthy enclaves in the leafy suburbs or metropolitan areas. They're a little tired of being patronized and talked down to. Is that something?
Oh my God, the contempt that the elites have for them, on cable news and the liberal media, the contempt, they feel it keenly, and they've started to return the favor. They really are very aware of the fact that, the people in the knowledge industry created an economy that was an upward transfer of wealth from the middle class. I mean, it was a plunder of the middle class by the leftist elites, and now, instead of acknowledging it, they sneer at the people whose futures they stole. I mean, that is 100%. Working class people are very keenly aware of that and feel resentful about it, although they're all still remain to this day deeply patriotic people. They really believe in this country, and we should really believe in them.
Are you going to stay in touch with the people that you interviewed for your book?
Yeah, of course. I've been going back and forth with them, as the book progressed, and sending them a copy and finding out what they think about it. It's been really, really rewarding and deeply, deeply humbling that they shared their stories with me. I'm forever grateful. A few of them came to my book party. It was really nice.
The book is Second Class, How the Elites Betrayed America's Working Men and Women. The author is Batya Ungar-Sargon. She's the opinion editor at Newsweek. Again, the book Second Class. Batya, thanks so much for joining us, and best of luck with the book. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. God bless you guys.
Thanks. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com, and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
The waves were mighty and fierce as could be when my lady and I got lost at sea. We tossed and turned and we nearly drowned when my brave little boat went down. Whoa, 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 no, none of that's true. You haven't had a date in a year or two. The sea was calm and the sky was clear and you crashed right into the pier. Yeah, fine.
Accidents don't just happen in sea shanties, so Progressive Boat Insurance has you covered. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you can save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms and not available for all boats or in all situations.
All right, choosing where to send your kids to school is one of the most important decisions we make as parents. Even as the school year is coming to an end, you might be thinking about where to send your kids to school in the fall. You need to know that private school might be an option for you and your family, thanks to our good friends at halfpriceschools.com. At halfpriceschools.com, you'll find many different private schools from around Chicagoland offering a full year of tuition for, you guessed it, half the normal price. And you can take advantage of this great opportunity. It's simple. Find a private school near you, purchase a tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. HalfPriceSchools.com has schools all across Chicagoland, including St. Andrew's Lutheran School in Park Ridge, Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights, St. Peter Lutheran School in Schaumburg. The list goes on, but do not delay. Next school year will be here before you know it. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com. That's HalfPriceSchools.com.
Today, $20 barely gets you a burger and fries, and maybe it'll get you a quarter tank of gas. But you know what it'll get you, though? For just $20 a month, you get unlimited talk and text and plenty of 5G data from my friends, my cell phone company, a veteran-owned company, Pure Talk. Now, you'll get the same quality of service that you get from the big carriers, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, but you get it for half the cost. Average family saving close to $1,000 a year. The same cell towers, same 5G network, no contracts, no activation fees. Now, you can bring your phone or get great deals on the latest iPhones and Androids, but make the switch today and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Now, choose a wireless company that shares your values, that supports our military, our vets, and who creates American jobs, and they refuse to advertise on fake news network. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, make the switch today so you can actually afford a burger and fries. Pound 250, keyword save now from Pure Talk.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Annie, and I have been taking Balance of Nature for over 2.5 years. I mean, this one thing I told my son, I said, if anything ever happens to me, the one thing I want is my Balance of Nature. I don't care if I don't have anything else, but you make sure you order that for me every month. I tell everybody about Balance of Nature. I feel like everybody ought to take them.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Protecting and growing your retirement assets can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Mark Kohler, host of Retirement and Income Radio, heard Sundays at 11 a.m., helps retirees in or near retirement protect their accounts from market volatility. Mark can help you create lifetime guaranteed inflation-hedged income. Call Mark today at 844-619-SAFE. That's 844-619-7233. And listen this Sunday at 11 a.m. to Retirement and Income Radio.
Hi, I'm Ron Kraszewski, Chairman and CEO of Stifel. Financial advisors, let's face it, if you're not growing your practice, you're losing market share. Stifel is a growing, entrepreneurial, advisor-centric firm built for successful advisors like you. There's a reason why 148 financial advisors joined Stifel last year. Come join us and find out why Stifel is the firm where success meets success. Visit www.choosestifel.com.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Do we have Why Dan Proft is Single? Spur of the moment, I know.
Justin, cue the music. Or maybe not. Why Dan Proft is Single. I believe it goes
why don't you sing a few
Now
bars?
for another reason
There it is.
why Dan Proft is single.
Woo!
Oh, I don't know music. I was hoping. I've got some songs I want to add into the rotation for that little segment. We'll update it. But anyway, there it is.
Oh, this song is so cheesy.
Well, the Spandau Ballet thing, I've told you before.
What do you have, Dan?
You know, Spandau was a prison in Germany where Nazis were held, and the Spandau Ballet refers to the hanging of Nazi war criminals, and then them sort of dancing as they hung from the gallows.
What's so romantic, Dan?
Well, that's the name of that. That's Spandau Ballet, the band name. That's what it's based on. Okay. The song. But anyway, I digress. But that is actually not inconsistent with dating. This happened on a commercial flight. You ready for this? Mm-hmm. This woman gets on the plane, and she asks if she can make an announcement. And the stewardess, that's what they're called?
They're called flight attendants, Dan.
Yeah, so the stewardess said, sure. And here was her announcement.
Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Carolina King. I'm looking for the rich husband. My seat is 2A. Please join me if you are rich.
Let's clap for the crazy lady. Hey.
Hi, guys. I'm Carolina Geets. I'm looking for a rich husband. My seat is 2A. Please join me if you're rich. Oh, wow. And that generated applause, I guess, for the...
Maybe they just wanted her to sit down.
Yeah, I hope this doesn't spawn more of that. She was very happy that the airplane staff were supportive of her idea. They're very supportive of gold digging. And I guess she's some sort of influencer, who isn't, on TikTok. She's got 628,000 TikTok followers. Apparently none of them are rich men who want to take the plunge with Miss Geets. And she is still looking for a rich husband in case anybody is mad at their money and they would like to date Carolina Geets, much less propose. She said that trying this out takes a hell of... no, that's what the commentator was just applauding her. She has not gotten an offer yet, but what did she say about this? She said, although I haven't found my future husband, the experience gave me a huge boost of confidence and motivation. Good. I like when gold diggers are encouraged. She also said that she could do like the dating apps, but, quote, I prefer meeting people in person as I feel it leads to more genuine connections. Sure, genuine connection over someone's net worth. I won't deny that a rich husband is something I desire. It's not because I'm materialistic or shallow. Of course not.
No.
That's why you're
She's
leading
doing
with
this
it.
for love, yeah.
I know what I want, and I'm unapologetic about pursuing it. There's a woman who knows what she wants. So if you've got a couple shekels to rub together, I would just encourage you to steer clear of Miss Geets.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, the guerrilla journalism of a James O'Keefe of a Project Veritas has been joined. Sound Investigations, it's the first time I've heard of this outfit, but they've got a good one. They've got an undercover interview of a CIA contractor, and he's got some interesting things to say about both the agency as well as the Bureau, because he used to work for the FBI before he was CIA. We'll have his comments at 8:38.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
8:33, 46 degrees, partly cloudy skies, and the Arizona Supreme Court is upholding an abortion ban that dates back to the Civil War. The law passed in 1864 bans all abortions except those that pose a risk to the mother. Parents of the Michigan school Michigan school shooter are being sentenced to up to 15 years in prison. James and Jennifer Crumbly were sentenced on Tuesday after being convicted of involuntary manslaughter. It's the first time in U.S. history that the parents of a teen mass shooter have been held responsible. A passenger in a rideshare vehicle was killed after shots were fired from another vehicle in Chicago's Englewood neighborhood this morning. Chicago police say the man was wounded several times, transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he later died. The driver was not hurt. Outside CPD's 11th District Tuesday, chaos erupted as demonstrators blocked streets and clashed with police after the release of police body cam video tied to the death of Dexter Reed, Jr. Reed's family has hired attorneys, and they say they'll bring justice and accountability to the case.
And I talked to Mayor Johnson Sunday, and I explained to him that those officers need to be held accountable, and those officers need more trained. You got young guys that's 2 years, 5 years experience.
Dexter Reed Sr. COPA confirms police-worn body camera footage shows Reed firing first outside of a passenger side window, striking a Chicago police officer. Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Thankfully, he's recovering, but if that bullet had hit him a few inches in a different direction, I would be here today talking about the loss of another black man.
Reed supporters are advocating for the abolition of the department's tactical teams. A Chicago police officer is accused of sexual misconduct in an incident that occurred in Goose Island last year. Stephen Shaw has been charged with 2 felony counts of custodial sexual misconduct. His initial court appearance is scheduled for this week. A federal court has ruled in favor of the Obama Foundation in its fight against the group Protect Our Parks. The group argued the city of Chicago violated the public trust by leasing part of Jackson Park to the foundation. Illinois State Rep Tim Ozinga abruptly resigned Monday night. The Republican, which represents several suburbs like Mokina, Orland Park, and Joliet, did not give an exact reason for resignation. He will stay on as chairman of the Will County Republicans. Knicks over the Bulls, 128-117. San Diego Cubs used a 5-run fifth inning to beat the Padres 5-1. White Sox over the Guardians 7-5. And the news delivered by Quick Delivery Service. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
The future of medicine is here at QC Kinetics. QC is the nation's leader in the most exciting revolution in pain management we've seen in decades. Regenerative medicine. If you're tired of achy joints, if your joint pain is keeping you from doing what you love, you need to call QC Kinetics today. Surgery, steroids, drugs, these are no longer your best options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative treatment that delivers lasting results. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of National Medical Director Dr. Michael Scheinkupp. Dr. Scheinkupp is a pioneer in this field with 20 years of clinical work, research, teaching, and publishing. He wants to get you relief with a needle, not a knife. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. Appointments now available on Saturdays. Call 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. Again, that's 312-809-5955.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Annie, and I have been taking Balance of Nature for over 2.5 years. I mean, this one thing I told my son, I said, if anything ever happens to me, the one thing I want is my Balance of Nature. I don't care if I don't have anything else, but you make sure you order that for me every month. I tell everybody about Balance of Nature. I feel like everybody ought to take them.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3. Brought to you by Pure Shale Financial Group at PureShaleFinancial.com.
8:39, a check of the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance makes it easy to save money when you bundle your auto policy with home, condo, or renters. It's a multi-policy discount. Easy to bundle, easy to save, Progressive.com. Kennedy, an hour 20 inbound from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The ICE stop-and-go traffic on the inbound side between 9th and Ashland, 73 in from 390 to the old post office. DuSable Lakeshore Drive showing up solid between Foster and Hollywood on the northbound side. Jane Addams, accident, 2 left lanes blocked. Eastbound I-90 between Higgins to right before Roselle Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast in our QC Kinetics Weather Center. Sunshine giving way to clouds, mild 68 today. Late evening rain overnight, low 47. It's 46 right now. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This outfit called Sound Investigations, investigating corruption in adult industries and more. Adult industries that, of course, these days, and corruption, these days necessarily implicate federal law enforcement or spy agencies like the CIA and the FBI. And so they did one of these guerrilla interviews, undercover interviews, like James O'Keefe made famous. The last repository of real journalism, perhaps, or at least investigative journalism. In addition to a few like Paul Sperry and Cheryl Atkinson, a few others. I think it was like what O'Keefe does a lot too. I think this was like a dating app, a gay dating app setup. I'm just guessing from the interaction between the undercover journalist and this guy, Gavin O'Blennis, who's a contracting officer with the CIA and formerly was at the Bureau, FBI, one of the guys in the surveillance trucks, so he says. The question that was put to him, there among several, was the issue of entrapment. If you want to get a pro-lifer, if you want to get some other enemy of the state, like, say, a conservative Catholic who attends the Latin Mass, how do you do it? And stay on the right side of the entrapment line.
You can kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do. How? You set them up. You create the situation to where they have no choice but to act on their impulse. And once they act on that impulse, then we call that entrapment. It's a fine line.
Does the Bureau practice entrapment a lot?
We get really close.
Not officially?
No. We get as close as we can. We get as close as we can to it without doing it.
So they can entrap some of these pro-lifers into doing things that they don't...
Depending, yeah. We call it a nudge.
A nudge.
A nudge. Sometimes you just gotta give them a quick little, just to see what happens, right?
And how does that happen?
You put a post out there, or you have someone fake profile, say something that triggers, that we know is going to trigger them, right? Like, we already know your history. If we're to that point, we already know everything about it. So we're like, oh, this will piss them off. Oh. Sometimes you like to fuse and just wait for it to follow, right?
Like a railing. So when a railing happens, that's sometimes the Bureau behind it?
Yeah, sometimes.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Setting up a rally or posting some sort of false profile or false comment on social media to try and nudge your target into doing something they might otherwise not do. The nudge. I've heard that phrase before, and I was trying to place it when I was watching this video. I think John Cass's brother, Nicholas Cass, used the same term, and he... Foreign Service officer. He was CIA, retired now. But I think that's the phrase that he used, too, in terms of how these some of these deep state actors conduct business. The nudge. Not entrapment. It's a nudge. Redefining entrapment to being a nudge. Now, again, we've talked about this in the context of sort of the Eva Peron of East Lansing, the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot. And, no matter how much someone nudged me, I'm not going to participate in a kidnapping plot for a public official or anybody else. However, that doesn't mean that this is a right and proper use of limited law enforcement resources. And, thinking about, too, just the thought process that goes into deciding who your targets are going to be. Is this rank order priority in terms of threats to public safety, national security, or is it based on, I don't like that guy's politics, let's see if we can take him out? Because the way O'Blennis talks about it, it sounds highly political, particularly when he refers, as he did, to Trump in this interview, well, again, undercover interview, date, I think, as Cheeto. Mm-hmm. And he characterizes Trump as having incited a riot. Incitement. Didn't use the word insurrection, but he did use incitement, something else he hasn't been charged with. Anyway, he goes on to explain targeting. And you always want the biggest and the loudest. His words. And one such case study that the journalist and the CIA contractor go over is Alex Jones. And as you know, I'm no fan of Alex Jones. I think he's, generally speaking, a goof. I think it was reckless and defamatory what he said about Sandy Hook, and he paid the price for it.
Yep, he sure did.
So I don't give Alex Jones any quarter. But... to live in a free society is to defend the rights of people you find objectionable, because defending the rights of people you don't find objectionable is easy. But that's not how it's supposed to work. And when you target somebody like Alex Jones, as we find out from Mr. O'Blennis, former FBI, now a CIA contractor, who interfaces with other agencies with whom the CIA contracts for specific things, including armed services, so he says. And there's a LinkedIn profile that the investigator posted to credentialize this guy, so we know he's not completely making up who he is, even if maybe, we don't know, but maybe he's embellishing. But this riff on Alex Jones and that whole Sandy Hook business and the defamation suit is troubling. See if you can pick out the troubling spots.
You always want the biggest and loudest. Like that, what was his name? The one that said Sandy Hook didn't happen.
Alex Jones.
Yeah, so we were after him.
You are? Are you still after him?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's broke. He got found guilty and had to pay like $100 million.
So why were you after him?
We're not anymore.
Just to get the money from him?
Yeah.
Was that court case used? Was that a CIA
Sure
thing?
was.
That was an agency thing?
Well, actually it was a defamation case. So it's a civil, not government. But we were looking at all of his followers, commenting, following, like, who's that going to lead us to, right? So even though it's technically not our, well, not the agency definitely, but the Bureau, for instance, yeah, that's not our purview. It's a civil matter. But since they got all this access to his stuff and it's there, what can we go find?
So two things there. One, he explains that, they couldn't bring this matter because Alex Jones didn't violate the law.
No, it's a civil matter, right?
Right, but we say, look, to the Sandy Hook families, this is, I'm characterizing what he said, we can't do anything because he didn't violate the law, but, we can suggest that we think there's a strong defamation case that you could pursue in a civil court, civil action you could pursue against Alex Jones. So we don't instruct, we just educate, is the phraseology he used. But the other piece of it that's troubling to me is we use that opportunity to follow his followers, to track Alex Jones fans, and to see what else we can come up with.
Right, that's just creepy.
Right.
Oof.
Right. So I'm not an Alex Jones fan, but I'm also not a fan of the CIA, or in this case, the FBI. I think he was with the Bureau, as he calls it at the time, just indiscriminately picking out fans of somebody, whether I like them or not like them, and deciding, let's see if we can turn over some stones and take a look at what crawls out. Because that's in the interests of national security. Well, I mean, I guess if you start from the premise that, America firsters, white Christian nationalists are the greatest threat to our democracy, as you hear the left say all the time. You say, well, Alex Jones fits the bill, and therefore his listeners or social media followers fit the bill, so let's take a look at all of them. That's a pretty broad foundation to start pouring through for agencies that have the kind of power the FBI has to start pouring through people's lives, isn't it? You cannot like Alex Jones and be deeply troubled by what you just heard. In fact, you should be. One more. January 6th. Mr. O'Blennis provides some detail that we can't get out of FBI Director Christopher Wray.
No.
I thought you said that there were FBI agents in the crowd at J6.
There always are when there's a big protest in D.C. Just in case it gets out of hand like that. But there wasn't enough to turn that tide. I mean, I'm talking they maybe have 20. You needed 1,000 to get rid of that crowd.
So they had like, that was just 20?
Yeah, just to go through and observe and see what they can hear, that kind of thing.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. They needed 1,000 at least.
Well,
Wow.
see, that's also Capitol Police jurisdiction. They're in charge.
So that,
why they didn't have more on hand, I don't know.
The Bureau didn't really want people knowing that they were in the crowd. Mm-hmm. Because that would be overstepping their bounds.
A little bit.
Do people know that?
Why?
Did people know that the Bureau was in the crowd?
Nope, and probably never will.
Do you know agents that were there?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, they work for the agency now.
Do you know agents that were there? Yeah, I know them because they work for the agency now. They work for the CIA, where he's a contractor.
Got a text message. Dan and Amy, anyone who's surprised by this hasn't been paying attention.
It's not about being surprised. It's about documenting it, and it's about taking statements like this guy makes and turning over some stones at the CIA and FBI, isn't it? Because that's exactly what members of Congress should do. I would do if I was a member of Congress. So it's on. There's the belief about what's happening, the dot connecting that is logical, and then there's the evidence that you can take action with. And that's what's relevant here. All this like, I'm not surprised, and so move on. No, you take information, points of concession, like you just heard, that we can't get out of the FBI, no matter how many times Ray appears before congressional committees. Now, somebody said it, and he's credentialed. He may be mid-level at the Bureau. He may have been mid-level at the Bureau, and he's a contract employee with the CIA. He may not be at the top of the food chain here. Doesn't sound like he is. Maybe, as I said before, he's embellishing. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to impress his date, and he's saying things that he thinks is true, but he couldn't prove either. Although when you say, like, I know some of the people that were in Jan 6 that are now at the agency, that's very specific. So that requires now a follow-up conversation that is not undercover, like to be subpoenaed before a congressional committee and take whatever he asserts under oath and put that to Christopher Wray, for example, doesn't it? So that's why it's not just something to say, oh, I knew that was happening. Yeah, well, good for you. Now let's do something about it. Isn't that what the point is?
It's just creepy as a former FBI agent, and he's boasting that he can put anyone in jail, just set him up. We call it a nudge.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Right. There's a lot in a short 7-minute video you should find deeply disturbing, even if you suspected it was happening. The point is to help remove scales from others' eyes and ears as it pertains to this business. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. It's Andrei Vizhninsky or Levrin Beria.
Levrin Beria. Yeah, Lavrente Beria. Yeah.
Thank you for the pronunciation. So give me the man and I'll give you the case against him.
Right.
You can find anybody. If you go into anybody's past or present and you provoke them and put them under pressure, almost anybody, they're going to do something wrong. So it's not so much to get a case against or get them in jail. The process is the punishment. Just the fact that what Trump is going under right now, that's punishment enough, but it's actually flipping against them. But that's their mentality.
Right. You mean sort of like a SEAL Team 6 raid on that pro-life prayer warrior in rural Pennsylvania. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, traumatizing his children. When all they had to do is do a phone call and I'll meet you at your attorney's office.
Right.
But they don't do that.
Thanks for the call, Kevin. Jordan in Antioch.
Good morning, Dan. Hey, I don't mean to plug anybody else, but there's another host, Bongino, that does a really good explanation of the flush. And you brought up Christopher Wray, how they use this, and guys like this guy in this interview will concoct a narrative and pass it to the media. The media will report on it, and then it goes to Wray, and now an investigation starts. And he does a really good job of explaining how they did that with the Russia crap, with Trump and Jan 6. And the other thing, like you pointed out, was that nudge. And I listened to that podcast with you and John Cass's brother, and that was awesome. That guy is just amazing.
Yeah, he's super sharp.
Nudge,
Nick Cass, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and that nudge, right? That's how they got the guys in Michigan, and that's how they're getting people on Jan 6, and that's how they can get a lot of other people in this justice system is you don't have to be a part of it. You just have to be a part of a conversation that they can document. And then that gets used against you and turned into an investigation. And in this justice system, you're guilty if you're part of a conversation, whether you agree or otherwise. And that's the scary part, is that's where we're at. Nothing is taken in full context. It's only snippets. And then you're guilty in the public eye, and then they get you guilty in the court of law. It's scary where we're at right now. It's really scary. And I hope a lot of people are paying attention to that comment that you made, the nudge. Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
Thanks, Jordan. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Oh, the signs of spring are upon us. Birds are singing, crocuses are popping up, and your concrete is sinking. Permaseal can help with that. I'm Roy Spencer with Permaseal. As you start your spring cleaning, you'll likely see some cracked or sunken concrete, a sidewalk, stoop, driveway, or your patio. These problems will only get worse with time, but there is an easy solution. Our polylevel system can raise and level concrete quickly and effectively, putting an end to eyesores and dangerous trip hazards. Call today for a free estimate, 800-421-SEAL. Polylevel is the quickest, least expensive, and most durable system to repair your sunken concrete problems. Don't live with a problem that will only get worse.
Permaseal has been making Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana homes healthier and more valuable for over 45 years. Call today to receive 10% off or up to 18 months no-interest financing. Don't replace it, raise it. Call 800-421-7325 or visit permaseal.net.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Thank you so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Dan, do you have anything to say, anything to add?
I left it all on the field.
Okay, great. Thanks to Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Keith Conrad, our executive producer. Can't do it without them. Now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A rideshare passenger killed in a Chicago gunfight. Police-warned body camera footage of the deadly shooting of Dexter Reed is released. A boy shot in the car with his grandmother and is in critical condition. New rooftop signs are set for